Good morning and welcome to the AM show. It's Wednesday, the 20th of November, 2024, and it's just 17 days to go for the 2024 presidential and parliamentary elections. My name is Sweetie Abochi, and I do this with Benjamin Akakpo. Now, this morning on the AM show for the 4-hour package, we'll start with serving you the AM news, and then we'll bring you the news review segment. For today being a Wednesday, Dr. Ashanti will be joining us, as well as Kofi Kapito. He is the CEO for Consumer Protection Agency. Both gentlemen will be joining us to review the newspapers and the stories captured in there. After that, we don't leave you sports enthusiasts out because Muftan Abil Abdullahi will come your way with AM Sports, bringing you the latest chronicles from the world of sport. What are we doing for our big story this morning? It's just a few days to the elections, and the NDC is alleging a grand scheme to rig the elections. And they're calling for the removal of Brigadier General Michael Opoku, who's becoming infamous for his position. What exactly are they saying? We'll delve into the issues later on today on the big story, so we'll bring you that. And then the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, that's CODIO, are raising some concerns over instances of vote buying in some parts of the Greater Accra region, Savannah and Western region, and Ashanti region. What exactly is happening there? We'll bring you all the details on our big story segment on the AM show. You want to stay with us. We'll also bring you our climate focus, the latest in our climate focus series today, and we'll take you to Tamale, where residents are advocating for protection from the forest in the cities. Please stay with us from now till 10 a.m. while we serve you breakfast. Myself, Sweetie Abochi, and Benjamin Akakpo are eager to serve you. So let's get into our AM news now. Stay with us. This is the AM news. Let's get into the details. After 7 long years and countless hours of enduring traffic congestion at Flower Port, relief has finally arrived. President Akufo-Addo commissioned the Flower Port Interchange, an 802-meter dual carriageway constructed at a cost of 147 million Ghana cedis. The project, which connects East Legon, Spintex and its environs, is set to ease the daily traffic that commuters struggle with. Speaking at the event, President Akufo-Addo emphasized that his government's commitment to Ghanaians goes beyond rhetoric. There's more in this report.
The newly commissioned Flower Port Interchange features an 802-meter dual carriageway viaduct with asphaltic concrete surfacing, a 140-meter ramp from Shashi onto the viaduct towards Airport Hills, and an 80-meter ramp connecting the viaduct to the motorway towards Terman. Speaking at the ceremony, President Nana Akufo-Addo hailed the interchange as a legacy for the future, emphasizing that it represents a tangible achievement of his government vision for a modern and inclusive Ghana.
These projects represent the scale of our ambition, a commitment to excellence and growth that knows no limits. Beyond interchanges, we have made substantial progress in road improvement projects across the nation. Through asphalt overlays, road rehabilitation, and reconstruction, we are creating a safer, smoother, and more efficient transportation network, enhancing riding quality and supporting socio-economic development. Each of these projects underscores our resolve to build an infrastructure network that will uplift every Ghanaian in every corner of the nation. Ladies and gentlemen, the Flower Port Interchange is a legacy for future generations. I call on the Ministry of Roads and Highways.
The Minister for Roads and Highways, Asensu Boachi, highlighted the significance of the interchange in improving road infrastructure across the country.
The Flower Port Interchange is therefore a comprehensive solution to these long-standing traffic challenges, providing relief from congestion that has plagued this location for years. With this infrastructure, Mr. President, we mark another significant milestone in the government's commitment to improving road infrastructure across the country.
Greater Accra Regional Minister Titus Glover appealed to the Lejokuku Municipal Assembly to ensure the stretch remains free of unauthorized trading activities, urging strict enforcement to preserve the road's functionality.
In this light, I would like to urge the municipal assemblies, particularly Lejokuku and Ayawaso West Wogon, under whose jurisdiction this interchange falls, to ensure that this area is kept clean. Additionally, I don't want to see kiosks, and the chief executive should listen to me. We don't want to see kiosk containers littered all over there. It will destroy the beauty of this edifice that we all witness and commission today.
Residents in the area expressed excitement about the project's completion. Many lauded the interchange as a game changer for easing traffic and improving travel times.
One of our children are going to school with a lot of a problem. But I think everything has been done today.
First of all, we thank God, to Almighty God, for what He has done for Ghana and flower pots. Well, those days, at first, it wasn't easy at all. But now, per what they have done, we are very happy. We appreciate the government very well.
Reporting for Joy News, Collins Frimpong.
Now let's get into our election headquarters, which is brought to you in association with Petrosol Platinum Energy, energizing dreams, Chopbox Technology, a convenient service, German Ozone Alternative Therapy, Dental Wellness and Beauty, CIMA, the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, and AICPA, together as the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants, Youth Bridge Foundation, bridging gaps for positive youth development, Syntex Tanks, a strong, a tough. Potential Real Estate, your trusted partner in real estate, the Luxy Paints Mu champion. Now, from our election headquarters this morning, the NDC says it will petition the Inspector General of Police on fears of a ploy to rig the 2024 general elections. Speaking at a press conference on Tuesday, the party also raised concerns about the safety of citizens, calling on the IGP to ensure no life is lost to the elections. There's more in this report.
The newly commissioned Flowerpot Interchange features an 802-meter dual carriageway viaduct.
The National Democratic Congress, at a press conference on Tuesday, raised some concerns bordering on a number of issues in relation to the 2024 general elections. Key amongst them is the fear of a plot to rig the elections. Communications officer of the party, Sammy Gyamfi, alleges that the NPP has employed the services of a military official to help them rig the election.
Take charge of a well-crafted scheme that has been designed by the NPP to rig the upcoming elections, particularly in the Ashanti region. Through ballot stuffing, swapping of ballot boxes, swapping of pink sheets, and other clandestine activities, starting with a special voting exercise scheduled for December 2nd of this year.
Although he failed to provide evidence to this when he was pushed by the media, he said the party has enough intelligence in its possession to back the claim. He adds that they will, in the coming days, petition the Inspector General of Police to investigate the matter.
We will be petitioning the IGP because he's the chairman of the Election Security Task Force. We will also be drawing the attention of the CDS to these developments officially, but not just him. Our external developmental partners will also be notified. And so the observers will be notified, the foreign missions will be notified.
But Communications Director of the New Patriotic Party, Richard Ahiagba, has refuted the allegations, insisting no military official has been employed to rig the elections in favor of the NPP.
Well, the specific answer to your question is no. He is not working with the New Patriotic Party. He's not part of our campaign. And so, therefore, we have not contracted him to do any such job that the NDC is crying about.
On the safety of citizens during the elections, the NDC says the IGP and the Ghana Police Service must ensure that no life is lost in the process.
Elections are about counting hairs and not cutting hairs. No single person in Ghana must lose their life because of an election. Because this is about the people's free will to decide for themselves those they deem fit to lead them. The IGP owes a duty to the people of Ghana to be firm and fair-minded to ensure peace during and after the December 7th elections. In this regard, we in the NDC assure him of our fullest cooperation.
The party is hopeful that their concerns will be addressed ahead of the elections. James Savage's report for Joy News.
Meanwhile, Member of Parliament for Dwaboso, who doubles as ranking member on Health Committee of Parliament, Kwabena Mintah Akando, has accused the Electoral Commission of manipulating the electoral processes in the Dwaboso constituency in support of the NPP candidate. Mr. Akando questions the EC's decision to change a long-serving presiding officer of the commission in the area in less than a month to the elections.
The sudden and unexplained transfer of the district electoral officer in this critical period, that is 1 month to the 2024 general election, is not just suspicious, it is strategic. In her place, a hand-picked replacement by Dr. Osman Asari, Deputy Chairperson of the Electoral Commission, has taken over and immediately began appointing known MPP delegates as polling officers. Let them hear us clearly. No amount of rigging, no number of planted polling officers, and no manipulation by the EC can save them from the inevitable defeat that awaits them.
NDC running mate, Professor Opoku has criticized the NPP for prioritizing development in areas perceived as their strongholds, contrasting this with the NDC's approach of ensuring equal development nationwide, regardless of voting pattern. She noted that non-NPP parliamentarians face challenges due to this bias, but emphasized that it will not deter them from pursuing the people's agenda. Professor Opoku made these remarks during a courtesy call on the Wala Overlord, now Hussein Seidu Perpio, as reported by Joy News Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafiq Salam.
Before a meeting with the Wala Overlord, Professor Nana Jane Ajiman was met on arrival at the Wa Airport by sea of supporters of the NDC.
The NDC faithful marched up at the Wa Airport 2 clear hours before the arrival of Professor Jane Nana Opoku on a commercial flight, led by the party's regional chairman, Abdul Nasser Sani Bunas, and Wa Central Member of Parliament, Dr. Rosita Sampirpu, who is seeking re-election. The supporters, dressed in the party paraphernalia, dance to party songs being played on loud sound systems whilst waiting for her arrival. Professor Jane Opoku was accompanied on the tour by some stalwarts of the party, including former Health Minister Alex Sebefia. The NDC running mate then rolled out of the Wa Airport and headed to the Warner's Palace, where she paid a courtesy call on the overlord of the Wada traditional area, now Hussein Seidu Perpio IV. Spokesperson of the Wada overlord, Gyamfi Nakadir Ibrahim, recalled some few requests that they penciled for John Dramani Mahama on his recent visit to the palace.
To his surprise, just a few weeks ago, he learned that a number of districts and municipalities in the country had benefited or are to benefit from the elevations to different statuses, much to the neglect of the one municipality. And His Majesty says that a future NDC government should consider doing this for us as one of the first things that you will do, even if on the 8th of January 2025, he wakes up to the news that the one municipality is elevated to a metropolitan.
Coupled with the NDC's track record and good policies on their manifesto, the party will return to power.
And that is that unlike the NDC, that takes care of everybody, our opponents don't necessarily do so. They have already told us about people who don't vote for them and for which reason they don't pay attention to them. So what this means is that our PCs have suffered for 8 years. It means that whatever they could have done has been denied them because they voted for the NDC. This will not stop any of them or any of us from voting for a government that brings interventions such as the road you have requested for everybody's benefit.
Some supporters of the NDC asserted that due to the failed promises of the MPP, coupled with the NDC's track record and good policies on their manifesto, the party will return to power.
You see, the current hardship in the country is mouth-watering. Things prices are skyrocketing, so the good people of Upper West are very convinced that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama with the MP of West Central and the 11 constituency, we are going to win them hands down.
But I want to use this opportunity to appeal to the good people of the Upper West region. Let's have hope in President John Dramani Mahama. Inshallah, I am aware that by 8th of December, midnight, President Mahama will be declared President of the Republic of Ghana. And the one municipal will be elevated to what? Metropolitan.
For the next 2 days, Professor Gen Nana Opoku will be visiting some constituencies in the Upper West region. Key among them is the Central West constituency, where she is a household name. Professor Nana Gen Opoku spent a better life of her research time in that constituency, and many people in that constituency knows her very well. Reporting for Joy News, Rafik Salam.
Away from our election headquarters, some health experts from the University of Cape Coast Hospital have called for regular eye screenings for residents in deprived communities to address the rise in cases of glaucoma. The call was made during a community eye screening exercise at Sechere Krobo in the Wasa East District of the Western Region. There's more in this report.
An optometrist with the University of Cape Coast Hospital, Dr. Obed Amwa Smith, has called for regular eye screening for residents in deprived communities. Speaking during a community eye screening at Sechere Krobo in the Wasa East District, an event organized by the Daniel Obisi Foundation, the specialist emphasized the importance of early detection and treatment.
All right, so we've seen a lot of cases the whole of the day and the whole of this exercise. We've seen a lot of blind people, mainly from cataract. There were a lot of glaucoma suspects as well, and then a lot of cornea issues. So cornea is a black part of the eye. Some came with scars on the cornea. And when there's a scar on the cornea like that, it means light will not penetrate the eye and get to the retina, the inner part of the eye, for you to be able to see. So these are some of the cases we saw. A lot of refractive error as well, and a lot of allergic conjunctivitis, that's itching. So a lot of them came with complaints of itching and all that. So these are some of the cases we've seen so far. So my plea will be to the government, Ghana Health Service, the District Health Directorate, to at least consider setting up an eye clinic at the Ahmadiyya Hospital. It's just close by. It's just, I think, the next 2 towns from this place. This place is Sechere Krobo, and the hospital is just close by. At least they should have an eye clinic there, post-eye care professionals there, so that when the inhabitants here have an eye problem, they can easily access quality eye care and prevent complications from arising, which will lead to what? A reduction in vision or blindness.
The president of the Daniel Obisi Foundation, Mrs. Elizabeth Obisi, explained the rationale behind the gesture.
A medical outreach organized by the Daniel Obisi Foundation. A man who was called into glory in May 2021. So this foundation was established in his memory. We have 5 objectives, but key amongst them is provision of scholarship, ICT training, and then medical outreach to aid the poor and vulnerable communities. So today, the foundation decided to visit Sechere Krobo, a community in Western East District. Yes, so we are here to provide healthcare service to the community in support of government efforts. We know that government alone cannot shoulder all these responsibilities. We are not a political party. We are a non-governmental organization, I would say a charity organization. So we are just here to complement government efforts.
The assembly member for the Sechere Krobo area, Honorable Samuel Asma, expressed gratitude and appeal for support for the CHIPS compound in the area.
The Ashanti Kingdom and the Republic of Seychelles hosted a 2-week exhibition titled The King in Exile, a photographic journey through Ashanti history and heritage, marking 100 years since the reign of King Prempeh I and celebrating Yasantua's resilience. Held at the Seychelles National Library, the event featured archival photographs and narratives highlighting King Prempeh I's journey and legacy. And as part of the celebrations, Seychelles President Wavel Ramkalawan will visit Ghana on November 20th, that is today, and he recently spoke with Loishala Adeyemi in Seychelles. Yes, more.
Speaking about tradition, how are we going to be merging Seychelles? Because we are here, we've seen how Seychelles works. It's amazing when it comes to tourism. Also, Ghana, we respect tourism. How are we going to merge that as well?
Well, if we can see how these exchanges can be done, I guess the doors are open for Ghanaian tourists to come to Seychelles, and with the setting up of the museum, maybe this will be further reasons for Ghanaians to come to Seychelles, and why not with the culture department, because King Prempeh was exiled in Seychelles. So for the culture department to be able to organize tourism trips to Ashanti, to go back and see from where King Prempeh was, what the tradition is all about, and maybe through that we will also identify further elements that will bring us together.
Finally, you'll be coming to Ghana late November. What are your expectations when you come to Ghana?
Well, it'll be the first visit, and I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a state visit, but at the same time, the commemoration of the centenary since King Prempeh returned to Ghana. I'm all excited about the visit, and just make sure it's a good one.
Yes, it will be a good one. Thank you, sir.
Let's do some business stories. The World Bank has revealed that it is engaging its key partners over happenings at Development Bank Ghana. This follows allegations by Imani Vice President Bryce Simmons that funds allocated to the institution by its partners had not been utilized well. There's more in this report.
The World Bank, in a statement issued today, maintained that it takes issues about business relationships and trust very seriously, hence the decision to adopt this posture on this issue. It went ahead in the statement issued to add that it has been made aware of the allegations surrounding the operations of the Development Bank, and it's seriously looking into the issues raised. The World Bank is one of the key partners that played an instrumental role in the establishment of the Development Bank Ghana when it comes to financing as well as the required technical support. The World Bank therefore maintains that it takes these issues very serious and will move to get some clarity on the issue. The Vice President of Imani Ghana, Bryce Simmons, last month in a detailed report alleged that the Development Bank Ghana had misused funds given to them by the development partners like World Bank. Mr. Simons also alleged that Development Bank had failed to carry out needed audits on some critical projects. But the Development Bank in a statement rejected all these allegations, insisting it has carried out its operation in the best international practice.
In other stories, the National Insurance Commission says it has taken steps to establish a new framework for calculating insurance penetration in the country to reflect the true coverage rate. According to the NIC, it is collecting data on health and pension schemes to complement its life and non-life insurance coverage. Currently, insurance penetration in Ghana is below 1%, a situation some players have described as worrying. Speaking to Joy Business, Acting Commissioner of the NIC, Michael Kofi Ando, said the real penetration rate will be published by end of 2024.
It's something that we've started work on. We need to gather data from the pension sector and from the health insurance sector, but we are measuring the penetration of insurance. The pensions is an aspect of insurance, health insurance is an aspect of insurance. So we need to consolidate all those areas and measure the proper penetration. As it is now, the NIC regulates only life and non-life insurance. So the figures we are calculating are penetration of life and non-life insurance. But to get the proper consolidated view, we need to get data from the health and the pension sector to add, and that is something that we are working on, and we hope to get a better view of where the penetration stands. Well, this is a matter of policy. It's a government policy. It is not a matter of a choice by the NIC. The government has to make that policy, so when that policy is made. But as at now, we regulate only life and non-life, and so that is where we stand. We are still talking to the stakeholders involved to get the data that we need to do the calculation. And so once we get the data, we hope to be able to publish something. Maybe by the end of 2024, we should be able to see what the real penetration looks like.
That ends the AM News Bulletin on the AM show, but let's get right into our news review segment. Dr. Kwame Asante is head for the Center of European Studies at the University of Ghana, as well as Kofi Kapito, Chief Executive Officer of Consumer Protection Agency. They're joining us to review the newspapers. Please stay. Live on the AM show, and this is the news review segment. Ben and I are ready. Joining us on via Zoom this morning is Dr. Kwame Asante. Good morning, Doc. Before I introduce our next guest, let me be sure that Doc is with us. Doc, are you with us?
Good morning, sweetie. And good morning to Ben and then our viewers as well.
Doc, remember watching you?
Yeah.
Right. And we also have in studio with us this morning Kofi Kapito, Chief Executive Officer of Consumer Protection Agency. Mr. Kapito, welcome to the program. It's been a minute.
Yes, more than a minute.
Yeah. Right. Benjamin.
All right, so we'll take your thoughts. This morning, I couldn't help myself but swing in two issues. One, I slept in darkness, and it's been happening nowadays. I get home and I see certain signs. And two, the performance of the Black Stars. And now the manager of the team says, oh, Ghanaians are being emotional. We played well, but we are being emotional. I don't know whether when you play well and you lose, that is a trophy. The NSA board chair says Otto Addo should go. By the way, he earns $50,000 a month. Those are my initial thoughts. I don't know what you think. Doc, let me start with you. What are your two pesos on these matters and anything else you want to talk about?
Yes, it's unfortunate we are in darkness. I myself, yesterday, I slept in darkness. That's why this morning I'm not able.
You also slept in darkness, eh?
I am still in darkness.
I simple.
Yes. Well. I don't know whether we are in Doomsaw or we are not. Yeah. But I want to look at Ghana Medical Association, the recent, report that they brought out, calling, out their own about certain ethical breaches, about certain, offenses relating to the job of some medical doctors there. I am here to commend them, to as it were, to let them know that the state is behind them. By that courage alone, calling out their own, those who have crossed the line and all that, is a mark of what, leadership, and I commend them. But the conversation should not end there. They should follow through to its logical conclusion that we know the evils in that industry so that the organization as well as the state will fix it. Because the things we are talking about are serious crimes and serious issues that must be looked at. We must look at them and then deal with them head on. And that should also be a learning curve for everybody so that when we are professionals, we remain professionals as such, and then we do what is needful for our society.
All right.
This is my statement for today.
Thank you, Doc, for those thoughts. It's obvious you had light, right, Kofi Kapito?
Yes, I have light.
Okay.
I had light, and I still have light.
Good for you.
But let me piggyback on what Dr. Ashanti said about the medical thing. Ghana, you see, we behave or pretend as if we don't know what is wrong with us. That is my problem. It's okay for him to applaud them for doing what they are doing. Is it news? I'm a consumer protection person, right? Mm-hmm. This is a country that even doctors get angry when you tell them you want to go and seek a second opinion. When a doctor diagnoses your problem and you say, let me go and seek a second, he tells you why you don't think, I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah. There's a particular doctor in Ghana. One of these, I'm going to mention his name. He was at 37 Military Hospital. Now he's one of the big doctors at the bank of, the one in Canton.
The bank hospital.
The bank hospital. This guy needs to be sacked from the medical fraternity. Me. One day I wake up, I have a very pain in my leg. I called somebody at 37. So come, I know a friend, a doctor, who would sort you out. The moment I walked through the door, the first question he asked me, oh, did you bring a lot of money? I am quoting him. And I said, oh, if it's money, no problem. But let's see what we need to do. I saw him right. All of a sudden, he says I should go and do an MRI.
Without examining you?
Oh, I'm telling him my story. You know, so I said, okay. Went and did the MRI. Came back, he claimed that, oh, there's a vein somewhere that is affecting into my leg, so he's going to do a surgery. 37 Military Hospital. I have his name. He's a Votarian. I'm giving hints. He's at the bank hospital right now. He came from 37 Hospital. Okay. So I told him, Master, you don't even know me. I'm not your patient. How do you say, oh, no. I was trained in Germany. I've been doing this, blah, blah, blah. I
think now you're dropping too many hints.
But I haven't mentioned any name.
Yes, but I was trained in Germany.
But it's not the name
Voltarian used to be at 37.
I'm just saying it's not the name that I'm using. I can't mention the name, but certain things I can mention. I'm entitled to it. Even I can mention his name. He can hold me responsible.
Please don't.
Okay, fine. So let me tell my story. Then he says, oh, why are you afraid? I say, yes, I am afraid that you are going to do a spinal thing on me. Then he said, oh, okay, don't worry. Then he started writing things, blah, blah, blah. He's going to give me epidural.
But an epidural, I mean, I know it's used for surgeries, but also it is, placed. Yes, it's still your spine.
Have you seen a woman delivery that they've given them an epidural before? I saw my last son being delivered. I was in the delivery room. It's something that you shouldn't play with. Even women should not even play with it. The slightest move, you are gone, paralyzed. It is my leg. I didn't say my waist.
No, but
why are you doubting his competence?
Because let me end my story.
Okay.
So when I insisted, I told him, you know what? Not today. Do you have any pain injection? He said yes. I said, give me a pain injection. I took the pain injection. The next morning up to today, I'm fine.
But did you check the leg out though? Because sometimes you may think, did you check it out?
Check the leg. There's nothing wrong with my leg.
Did you get a second opinion?
There's nothing wrong with my leg. I'm just telling you, it is my body. I know my body better than the doctor. There's nothing wrong with my leg.
But what you mentioned, I mean, it's
No,
we have to move into the papers.
No, I'm just understand, but I'm just saying that yes, doctors in Ghana, this is the only country that, and it's even the way we start training them. From the medical school, they are made to feel they are gods. Sometimes I agree because they can take your life and give you your life. Okay,
they are like judges.
Huh?
They don't take lives.
Oh, do you know how many times doctors have made mistakes that people have done?
All right, so it's a human institution.
That's what I'm saying.
Let's move on. But I've also encountered doctors who are okay with seeking a second opinion. In fact, in other parts of the world, it is common practice, and no one should bar you from that. So if you feel that you've seen any medical practitioner or professional and you think, I want a second, even third or fourth opinion, it's your life, it's your body. Go ahead and see. And you don't need to seek permission from that practitioner to go and get a second opinion. So probably don't tell them, just go.
Then even an
go and
injection.
get that.
This is a country that when you're going to be given an injection, they don't even tell you whether you have a reaction to the injection or not.
Okay,
Drop your pants.
Let's get into the paper. I have the Ghanaian publisher with me. On the front page, court dismisses GCNet's 4 billion Ghana cedi claim, awards 2.2 million costs to Ghana. Mahama Airbus scandal, fresh revelations emerge. Ekufuado commissions flower pot interchange that happened yesterday. Many are excited. Asin South MP gives best teacher a car. And 3 caged over 160,000 Ghana cedis fraud against Alpha Lotto. Right, let's get into it. 3 main stories. We'll do the courts dismissing GCNet, Airbus scandal, and then the commissioning of this. No, I do want to get into this caged over Alpha Lotto. So, on the Airbus scandal, in a 4-hour exclusive interview with the Africa Report, Samuel Mahama, who served as a middleman in the deal, revealed that Airbus likely hired him in 2009 because of his familial ties to John Mahama, then Vice President of Ghana. Now, Samuel Mahama has also conceded that John Mahama, as a senior government official, was involved in the arms deal facilitated by him, Samuel, contrary to claims by John Mahama that Airbus dealt directly with Ghanaian authorities. And he confirmed many central claims made public by the Serious Fraud Office and Department of Justice in 2020. It's a very long read, so you have to just grab a copy for yourself and read. I believe we all know the story. Let me go to 3 caged over 160,000 Ghana cedi fraud against Alpha Lotto. So 2 sub-agents of Alpha Lotto, a private lotto company in Accra, and a phone repairer have been remanded into police custody by the Dansoman Circuit Court. The suspects, Albert Nitete, Wisdom Kotoshi, and Richard Osei, are accused of defrauding their employer of 160,000 Ghana cedis, and the accused pleaded not guilty to all charges and are set to reappear in court on November 27, 2024. It's an interesting read, but let's move on. So, yesterday, the Minister for Roads and Highways, Asenso Boakye, traced the history of the project, that is the Flower Pot Interchange, highlighting its evolution since sod cutting in 2016. He explained, quote, originally planned as 2 overpasses, the design has been ingeniously expanded to include a continuous viaduct, 2 new roads through East Legon, and enhanced connections to key areas such as Cantonment and Spintex. And beyond enhancing mobility, these facilities were strategically designed to support local businesses and generate employment opportunities. I've heard commentary coming in about why it's taking us so long, why we are commissioning it now at this point, and so on and so forth. But let's get into the final story I want to do now in the Ghanaian publisher. Court throws out GCNet's 4 billion Ghana cedi arbitration claim and awards $2.2 million costs to Ghana. So an international arbitration tribunal in London has dismissed the claims of Ghana Community Network Services Limited, that's GCNet, against Ghana. The tribunal ordered GCNet to pay Ghana a little over $2 million in legal fees, and this comprises $1,744,000 in legal representation and $441,932 for fees and expenses of Ghana's expert witness, together with interest on the aggregate amount of $2 million and a little about that, as simple interest from 30 days following the date of the tribunal's award until payment of the rate. I think we all know the story and how we went to court you know, this GC Net was contracted somewhere in 2000. After 20 years, the contract was terminated. Kofi Capital, I want to know what you make about this. But before I come to you, I want to just rush through the headlines in the Ghanaian publisher so we don't have to come back to it. Ashanti commends Ashanti Regional Minister for remarkable infrastructure projects. Communication Minister visits girls' ICT centers in Ashanti region. Government constructing housing units for Agenda 111 hospitals. Really? Let me just get a bit of this. The government, through the private sector, is constructing a total of 14,420 housing units for the Agenda 111 hospitals, which are being constructed across the country. Each of the hospital sites will have 140 housing units made up of 40 one-bedroom units and 48 two-bedroom units and 52 three-bedroom units. And the project is being implemented by Across Consult, a subsidiary of Across Group, in collaboration with the Ministries of Works and Housing. NDC fingers Brigadier General Opoku in NPP election rigging agenda. We saw that press conference yesterday calling on the IGP to be vigilant. Vote buying reported in Ashanti, Savannah, and Western regions, according to Kodi. And all these stories, we'll get into it later on in our big stories on the AM show. Mr. Capito. Oh, we have Dr. Kwame. Please, let me go to Dr. Kwame Ashanti before I come back to you. Doc.
Yes. I want to start with the Airbus scandal.
Right.
Every time that we are going for election, this story repeats itself. It's something that I observed. And then soon after election, you don't hear anything about that. Recently, the OSP went into it and came out with his finding, which we know too well to recount it here. So this story, for me, I will not go into it.
Well, the new information has come to light, Doc, is that Mohammed's brother is admitting taking a bribe. So
yeah, but
they are saying it.
This is my observation.
Right.
That any time we are going for elections, it come out. And interestingly, when in the last election, they brought it earlier, and then during the peak of campaign, one would have thought that that is where they were going to hammer and use. Nobody heard anything about it. So for me, and from where I sit, I take it with a pinch of salt.
Right.
So I'll leave it, let it roll, and let's see how it goes.
Okay.
I want to look at this flower pot interchange that was made. Yesterday was commissioned and all that. I commend the government for a good work done and the rest of them. This is what governments ought to do at all times. They have to do that and make sure that we get the best. And let me remind government and then future governments and all that, that one of the responsibilities of the state is to ensure that you provide social amenities, including roads, hospital, and all that. So when they do these things, they should know it's part of their duty that they're supposed to do. We are not going to dwell so much in commending them so much and all that. It's your duty. Me as a teacher, when I teach and my students go well in public life and do well, it's part of my duty. I don't deserve it. So we have praised them a little. They should move on and fix more roads. We need that.
Right.
And then we should be able to fix more to the extent that a time should come that this infrastructure development, we should move on into other places that can create jobs for us. All right? It's not every time that we are constructing new roads and all that. I know in our peculiar circumstances and all that. But we should create roads that will last for a very long time. Nkrumah constructed motorway, and it's still very strong. We have done so many roads, and today, when you drive on such roads, you realize that it's a sorry story. So it's something that we have to also look at. The issue of Agenda 111 housing units, brilliant idea, and government has done well. We commend government. But we want to also make sure that we ensure value for money. And how do we do that? Maintenance culture, all right, should be able to we should hold it in high esteem and make sure that all the buildings that we have in the bush today, which, started from President Kufuor era and the rest of them, what are we doing about that? We spent a whole lot of money to put these structures up. And today we don't have value for money.
Right.
And this we need to avert our minds to.
Thank you so much, Doug. I don't know if your line just dropped or if you've concluded, but thank you. And you were asking, Ms. Rapito, who said it? So it was a 4-hour exclusive interview that Samuel Mahama himself granted the Africa Report. And I'm just, catching up on that here right now. So he himself
he said what? Let's be clear.
He said he accepted that Airbus paid him 2.7 million and circumvented its compliance system. Let me read what he said from the African Reports.
Because it's one thing. It's one thing accepting that I was paid something for certain services, and another thing to say I took a bribe.
I took a bribe.
Yes. so if we have to be careful with some.
He said Airbus paid millions for my help with arms trade to Ghana. So that's what he said. I'm just quoting.
And of course, so how is that a bribe?
What's your reflection?
I'm just saying that, like Dr. Santi said, this is nonsense to my ears. Like he said, every election time. You see, this is what we do to ourselves, and we don't progress. Last night, I like to see things for myself. So after the president opened that interchange or highway, I said, let me go and see it for myself so that I can speak about it, and I can say it's a beautiful thing. From the Burma Camp Road to East Legon, it didn't even take me more than, it was less than 10 minutes.
Right.
That is what I want Ghana to become. Not this nonsense about you did this and I'm doing this. Let's develop Ghana.
Okay.
The money is not for the president or the political party. The money is for the people of Ghana. Use it for the people of Ghana to benefit. Look, I'm against the fact that, and this is, some people will not agree with me, but the question is, if you are a minister for roads, transport, and you are riding in a Land Cruiser, and I don't have good roads, I have a problem. And I don't have good buses or transport, I have a problem. Because in other jurisdictions, that is what they do. They don't even ride in the Land Cruisers, but they make sure that the public has public transport. Joe Biden, his nickname was Amtrak Joe. Do you know why he was called Amtrak Joe? He lived in Delaware. And as a congressman, he said it was too expensive for him to have 2 houses, one in Delaware and one in Washington. So he rode the Amtrak train every Friday and Monday. Okay, if I am an MP at Suhum, in Sawam, Pram Pram, if we have good roads, why should I come and live in Accra? Why should I burden the people of Ghana? I can stay in my house in Pram Pram because there are good roads. If I leave my house in 30 minutes, maximum 1 hour, I should be.
You could even be coming from the eastern region,
Central region, Central region,
and coming to.
This is what I want the government of Ghana to do. Give me what I need, not what you want.
Okay.
You didn't ask me to vote for you to get what you want. You said I should vote for you for me to get what I want.
Right.
And until we hold them accountable, they will never. I applaud. It started from, is it the Atamils time or John Mohammed's time? We finished it. Wonderful. I don't like this thing that this is Akufo-Addo Highway. I'm glad that he named it the Flower Pot Interchange. Beautiful.
Right.
Normally, you hear one was called this called Mahama Road. Right? Why is it called Mahama Road? Okay, right. So this is wonderful. And then you're looking at the other one, which is the housing.
Right.
Same thing.
Agenda 1111.
Agenda 111. Look, I just came from America. The campaign, there is a housing deficit in America. And it's Ghana, I don't understand why the government always wants to build the housing. Make the money available so that private people can access it and don't do this social nonsense. We've moved on social nonsense. Ghana, everything is social. Let people buy the house. Let them own it so that they'll be responsible. We was talking about lack of maintenance. If you own the house, you will maintain the house.
All right. We have
all right. So, I mean, you've made some interesting points on these. The minority in Parliament raised an issue, though, that I think no one has touched on. The fact that the project increased from 69 million to 700 million over time. And I don't say it just specifically with regard to this project. We have the penchant. A project will start 2 million. By the time it's done, it's costing 30 million. The National Cathedral is an example. And even that has not been touched. So while we salute and while continuity is great, we need to look at how much we end up expending on these projects and whether we are getting value for money. Are you done with your papers?
Yes, but you were asking me earlier about the football thing, the Blaster thing.
Yes. It'll have to be brief on that.
Ben, let me explain. The behavior of the management, the playing body, and the people of Ghana is a reflection of what we have in Ghana. This is a country that we don't like. If you speak the truth, you are an enemy. That is the problem. Because anybody who is doing something illegal or something wrong don't want to be exposed. But in other jurisdictions, you should accept and say, yes, I am wrong. I'm human. I didn't do it right. So maybe I should step aside for somebody else to come and do it. Look, President Techi left. And the whole Ghana, we were happy.
It was on the back of pretty murky circumstances.
They say be careful for what you ask for because you may get it. Okay, we asked for this new management. I get angry when an official who doesn't even throw a ball, left of all to kick a ball, gets the same bonus as a player
$100,000.
It's only in Africa or in Ghana. What is wrong with us? In Europe, the best league is the EPL. Go and ask, is that what they do? Go and ask the English FA. Is that how they do it?
But are you even considering the politics in... I was reading C.K. Akono talking about player, what do you call it, rosters, and how they would be influenced. Are we even looking at political actors? FIFA has its own rules in terms of insulating federations, football associations from politics. But people will tell you that, oh, yes, but our money goes in there. Do you see what we're doing? Even the selection of coaches, even this and that. Until we regulate those, we'll not go anywhere.
That's what I'm
And that's why it has been dwindling.
But we know,
that's why we've been dwindling to
Ghana,
where we are.
Sometimes I laugh. We know what is wrong with us. Not that we don't know. We know. Look, how come the ministry would pretend as if the Ministry of Youth and Sport will pretend as if they don't know what is going on in the Blasters. And the Blasters also will pretend as if they don't know what the ministry... This whole nonsense, it doesn't make any sense. I'm not insulting anybody. It doesn't make any sense that we know. And from time immemorial, look, I've seen Blasters. People actually volunteered. Okay, the CK Gyamfi, Gyamfi and co. When they did Blackstar, when Blackstar was Blackstar, now that we say we are more educated, we are more exposed, look at where we are. Because you know what? Any national team that changes the selection, almost every other game will not amount to anything. And I repeat, until you have the base, this is the core Blackstar players. 11 or 13 players that we know that for the next 2 years, unless maybe injury. Look, Kotoko will supply...
You have to wrap.
Kotoko will supply 9 or 8 players. House will supply maybe 5 or 7. 11 wise. Hazakes. Then they will form the Blaster. Nobody was playing international. Now to play in the Blaster, you should go and play your game outside before you can come back. It's in the reverse.
Okay, we have about 9 minutes more to go, but let's quickly do this. I want you to take a quick look at some of the stories here. The IGP is saying no cause for alarm ahead of the elections. He's allaying our fears. The NDC has accused the MPP of a plan to rig the December 7 polls. That ties into the General Opoku story. Have you followed that story? Would you like to read a bit of it for us?
I have followed it, and to me, it reminds me of Donald Trump. The reason why he's not talking about the elections is not rigged because he won.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, definitely.
No, but when even before the elections, when certain things were happening,
he
was already saying that the election was being rigged.
Before
but
the
once he won, he was okay with it.
He filed 120 suits. and it's the same thing in Ghana. The same thing in Ghana.
But the question to ask is there any substance to it? In Joaboso.
There is not Joaboso.
No. I'm saying that at least we have a specific instance. Yes, Kwabena has spoken. And then they make mention of certain things. So let's just find out what the story says. And then it's on page 7. 10.
No, this one is, it says NDC accuses MPP of plan.
That's page 10.
Oh, really? It says 7 here. Oh, this one. Sammy
that's
Gyamfi.
it.
The National Democratic Congress, NDC, is alleging that the New Patriotic Party, MPP, wants to use Brigadier General Michael Opoku, the general officer commanding, or the central command officer of the Ghana Armed Forces, to rig the elections for ruling party by stuffing ballot boxes in the Ashanti region on December 7th. Ben, you know, we hear this every election, like Dr. Ashanti said. Some of these things, I think, I will plead with the institutions. They should really keep their integrity well. We accuse Madam Charlotte Osei for similar things. I am sure if the power changes, I'm afraid, what's her name? Jane Mensah would also go through the same thing that Ms. Osei went through. It shouldn't be like that. We should let people do their job. And the people too should be seen, not just doing their job, but to be seen doing their job. When you have political apparatchiks being appointed, this is what happened. And I don't even mind that. The fact that you are a political apparatchik and you are appointed, the moment you get to that institution, your political thing should be Ghana. Because you didn't go there in the interest of the party. You went there to serve Ghana. And that's what happened. That's why in other jurisdictions, an appointee can challenge the president. Like the guy who told Trump, when Trump was looking for 11,000 votes, in the last, not this one, the one before, he told Mr. President, I can't do it.
Is it Mike Pence, the vice?
No, it's not Mike Pence. Another governor, one of those areas, one of those meetings.
Yes. I think I.
He told him point blank, Mr. President, I cannot do it. And the man is still opposed because he protected the Constitution of the United States. In Ghana, the government and the parties make individuals disrespect our Constitution.
All right. We have to make tracks. Let me go to Dr. Kwame Asante. I know you may have some thoughts, but let me quickly add these headlines and then you can reflect on them. The Daily Guide, Election 2024, Police assures Ghanaians of robust security. Nana opens Flower Pot Interchange. AG saves Ghana 4 billion Ghana cedis in GC net case. We've dealt with all of these already. Goyle posts strong performance and Tepahene endorses Bawumia. I have kept talking about chiefs getting into this. Whether this side or that side, I have always said that it can only end in one thing. But anyway, let me keep quiet. The Daily Searchlight. Bawumia should tackle Boku conflict. Martin Amidu writes as he takes on MPP leader over human security. And he's been saying that the vice president should show competence there. IGP Dampare and the assurance, Akwamuman is in mourning. Those are the final stories I will look at. Dr. Kwame Asante, do you have any thoughts for us on these stories as we wrap? Hello, Doc. Are you with us? Dr. Kwame Asante?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes. Any thoughts on these stories?
Yes. I'll look at the story about General Opoku and all the accusations and all that. My hope and prayer is that all that they've said about the general will not come to pass, and that we, one, will be vigilant and make sure that we get the basis right. Two, we also want to make sure that the institutions that are responsible for the conduct of elections and all the processes thereof are able to work and work well. That means that we, as a society, must contribute to our quota in this direction, making sure that we point out all the weaknesses and then stand fair to ensure that we get nothing but what the best process that would deliver the results December 7th. That is so important. We should not wait. We should begin the exercise now, because there are 3 phases in election: the pre-election, the election phase, and the post-election. In order, we want to make sure that we do the needful by being vigilant, by making sure that those who get them wrong, we call them out, and then making sure that we support the system to remain robust. The next one is the IDP and assurance that security will be guaranteed and all that. I have no doubt in my mind that the security apparatus have been working 24/7 and supporting the cause of security in this country. But sometimes, too, they get it wrong. It is natural with human institutions, but we don't want a repeat of the 2020 election where 8 people were gunned down and up to date. This state has pretended as if nothing happened. It is what? The dark spot in our Ghanaian electoral system. This election, we want to appeal to the IGP that this should not be repeated and that we should have an incident-free election. It is true that sometimes there are skirmishes one way or the other, but we urge the security apparatus that they should be professional and let us have peace. That is all that we need. And then I'll come back to look at Tepahene.
Doc, we have just about 35 seconds.
Okay, just Tepahene and the endorsement of Dr. Baumia. The Supreme Court has made it abundantly clear that it's wrong. It is wrong for anybody to endorse any political candidate. The best you can do is to what? Support a policy. But to endorse is wrong. So I don't know why we want to disrespect the Supreme Court ruling. And what is more is that we don't expect such behavior to come from chiefs that will revere so much.
Right.
I think I'll end here.
All right, Doc, thank you so much. And when we say these, we always say that regardless of whose ox is God, regardless of which political actor is there, don't do this. Whether it's Mahama, whichever person, don't do it. But some chiefs, well, let them go ahead. And when the consequences come, I believe they will bear them.
The same chief will turn around when it is another person.
Yeah.
And that's what annoys me.
Yeah.
Because that means they are not loyal, they are not committed, they just want a favor.
Yeah.
And it's all about favors.
Kofi, thank you.
I want to shout out, we are going, or you still have some stories to do?
Go ahead.
Right, I want to shout out my friend, Serafina Robertson. Today is your birthday. Happy birthday, darling. I'll see you later today. Bye.
What's her name?
Serafina Robertson.
Is she a fancy?
Yes,
well, let's head into sports now, right here on the AM show. We'll be right back.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to AM Sports here with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullahi. Later today, the Executive Council of the Ghana Football Association will hold a meeting at the headquarters of the football governing body to diagnose the issues that have led to Ghana's failure to qualify for the African Cup of Nations 2025. The Black Stars in Group F finished at the bottom of that group with only 3 points after 6 matches. They opened their campaign with a defeat against Angola on September 5 at the Bawayara Sports Stadium before losing 2-1 against Niger at the Accra Sports Stadium early this week. The GFA, at its meeting later today, is expected to discuss the future of the technical team as well as plans of how they can do better in subsequent qualifying campaigns, especially the FIFA World Cup, which will be starting in March 2025. Ghana is failing to qualify for the African Cup of Nations for the first time in about 21 years. The last time the Black Stars failed to qualify was in 2003 when the team lost in Rwanda, Kigali. Well, Otoado, at his press conference after the game on Monday, said he was not going to resign. Sources within the Ghana Football Association have told Joy Sports that the future of Otoado It's not in question, as the leadership of the Ghana Football Association believes that he's the man for the future, hence their decision to retain him, despite the monumental failure which has been experienced by many Ghanaians in his tenure as the head coach of the Black Stars. Otto Addo is the first man to have led Ghana in a group with Sudan and Niger, two nations that were not able to play any of their home matches at their backyard or before their very own spectators. But Ghana was unable to pick maximum points against these teams. And also, despite the Ghana Football Association reluctance to part company with Otto Addo, which is going to be confirmed later today. And what we also know is that they will be releasing a statement apologizing to Ghanaians for the failure after the meeting later today. Many Ghanaians actually want Otto Addo fired as head coach of the Black Stars.
Under 17. About to do so under 17. About the day you are born under 20. Mumisa say, why you play youth side? On the back chatting. I say youth side, you know. In time, they see the performance all say. From you side, they also a group of the best senior side. They say, be a new appeal. The top say, Ghana football. Only side and then because at that time of person Niger. No disrespect to Niger, but I ain't over Niger team way. I'm a chair way. I was saying from coach, technical team now. Get on resign. Coach is technical team no. Yeah, deserve no. Because US qualification is on my bonnet because who me met now home matches. Makuma Kupo, what we need Bakupra. Now about the very, very disappointing. Very disappointing. I was here who said Ghana football now airport. And then the Baba couldn't ever born. Yaya Kudus, and then I have it. Sana and his Sudan, Yaba boy, and Kudus are more. Look at the kind of quality of Kudus are boy. Very disappointing. Oh, it's our say. Yes, it's a team level from. Young qualified, young met team when they have the project. And look at some of the African teams in the gap. Look at how they are building their team. I'm going to build the team from scratch. And I see as the guy ever born. But Ghana, they are and once you Bobby say, a disgrace about. It's young deserve it to not get on resign and I catch on resign.
This number is going to name bar. Only numbers in Goromu travel from Mambo. That's a man. And you had the local players last year. Now the 20 players of every single local players on who came from my body. Like traditional Ghana Black Stars. Ghana will not be going to the 2014 African Cup of Nations in Morocco next year. I mean, as a Ghanaian, how do you feel?
Bro, very sad. I'm very sad. So sad. Everyone is sad. As you can see, everyone is sad. You be at home and you know watch your country play. It's not easy. It's very sad. It's annoying. Really annoying.
We were looking forward to winning the last game, so at least we finished third on the table. That has not been the case because we have lost this one as well. I mean, who do you think is at fault for their recent performances?
I would say our management, we have poor management, and the guys, they were okay, they were doing okay, they were pulling, they were doing okay, but I think there was no lag and the management was not okay. So we need to check our things well and next time we go hard.
Do you think Otto Addo should stay on as head coach of the Black Stars, and why?
I don't think Otto Addo should continue.
Why?
No. I don't believe in him. He's not that powerful. I don't believe in his status. I don't believe in him.
What's up? Who you can support for here?
Me. I can't support for Ghana, but Ghana no win there. My players win there. My big players be Sosa is my big players.
I mean, you be Ghanaian, but the team no will go out front. How you feel say Ghana no will go out front?
I be Ghana 50%. I be Nigeria 50%. So now I make a tell you say.
Right now, the two teams want to go out front. How you feel?
Oh, I don't feel anybody.
Also, 6 AFCON qualifying games, no win, Ghana finished bottom of the group. I mean, how would you feel?
Oh, boss, I feel bad because, you know, the whole of last player almost qualified, just get 3 points. It's very, very bad. So we have to wake up and do something. But, you know, see how the police score the penalties. You see all the supporters and the fans, they are here. I think that they are not feeling happy. So I think Otuado should wake up and do something better so that we should be very feel happy for him. Because we are very sad. Because, when is the last time Ghana didn't qualify to the AFCON? It was very sad. Because see the players where you have. Because when you go to the Europe, the Ghana players are proving well for Europe. I don't know the reason why when they come to the national team, they are playing foolish ball like that. Because I think that it was very sad, bro.
In your opinion, should Otuado stay on as head coach of the national team and why?
Oh, bro, that one there, I can't even say anything because that one there, to be honest, I can't even say that. I can't even say anything, bro.
Once you set AFCON qualifying games, no win, Ghana finished bottom of the group. I mean, how would you feel?
Oh, boss, I feel bad because, you know, the whole of last player almost qualified, just get 3 points. It's very, very bad. So we have to wake up and do something. But, you know, see how the police score the penalties. You see all the supporters and the fans, they are here. I think that they are not feeling happy. So I think Otuado should wake up and do something better so that we should be very feel happy for him. Because we are very sad. Because, when is the last time Ghana didn't qualify to the AFCON? It was very sad. Because see the players where you have. Because when you go to the Europe, the Ghana players are proving well for Europe. I don't know the reason why when they come to the national team, they are playing foolish ball like that. Because I think that it was very sad, bro.
In your opinion, should Otuado stay on as head coach of the national team and why?
Oh, bro, that one there, I can't even say anything because that one there, to be honest, I can't even say that. I can't even say anything, bro.
Every day in the talk, he said one in the football. Football, I want to ask a question. If you football every day, you believe say one, Ghana will come last on the table. Ghana and Ghana be what? He said Ghana will come 10 on the table. Ghana be what? Was here? Oka said Sudan they were lucky the last time. You go say then oye. Was here? Say you from who?
The anger over there was called palpable after Ghana's 2-1 defeat against Niger on March the 6th of the African Cup of Nations qualifiers. The round of matches were concluded on Tuesday. Egypt started at home and they also drew their game against Botswana, while South Africa, they won 2-0 against South Sudan. Now, let me take you through the results of the final round of matches that were played in the African Cup of Nations qualifiers. And as you can see on your screen, DR Congo, they started at home and lost 1-2 to Ethiopia. Tanzania won 1-0 against Guinea. The victory for Tanzania meant that they've secured qualification to the African Cup of Nations. South Africa won 3-0 against South Sudan. Congo also won, they started at home and lost 1-0 to Uganda. Mali, they wall up Eswatini 6-0. Guinea-Bissau started at home and lost 1-2 to Mozambique. Many Ghanaians would not want to remember Mozambique because in this year's African Cup of Nations, after 89 minutes when Ghana was leading, Ghana managed to exit the competition, conceding a penalty and also conceding quite late again in that game through a corner kick. Senegal won 2-0 against Burundi. Senegal, they have now played 18 matches without a defeat. Kenya 3-0 against Namibia. Cameroon won 2-1 against Zimbabwe. Mauritania won 1-0 against Cape Verde. Egypt won, Botswana won. Cote d'Ivoire, the defending champions of the competition, won 4-0 against Chad. And remember, Chad is in the group of Ghana in the World Cup qualifiers 2026. Sierra Leone was at home and they lost 2-0 to Zambia, which is managed by former Ghana head coach Avram Grant. Now let's take a look at the countries that have qualified for the African Cup of Nations, which will be happening effective December 21, 2025 in Morocco next year. So these are the qualified countries. Morocco, the host nation, Burkina Faso, Cameroon, Algeria, DR Congo, Senegal, Egypt, Angola, Equatorial Guinea, Cote d'Ivoire, Gabon, Uganda, South Africa, Tunisia, Nigeria, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Mali, Comoros, Sudan, Benin, Tanzania, Botswana, and Mozambique. These are the countries that are going to the African Cup of Nations next year. And this is how we're wrapping up the AM Sports here with me, Muftau Nabila Abdulai. We appreciate your time.
You're still watching the AM show. Now we're bringing you our latest episode of our Climate Focus series, and we're taking you to Tamale, where residents are raising alarm over the looming destruction of the city's central forest, a natural shield against worsening weather extremes. And they warn that selling off the forest to real estate developers could spell disaster for the region's climate resilience and future sustainability. Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin is on that beat and tells us more.
Welcome to Tamale's urban forest, a hidden gem in the heart of the city. This forest does not only provide haven for biodiversity, but also a powerful tool in the fight against climate change. Let's explore how this forest can reduce carbon emissions in the city.
Have 3 forest reserves in the Tamale township here, and as asked, the importance of these forest reserves here, one of them has to do with the fact that they serve as recreational grounds for people to go there. Churches go there to pray. People go there to have fun here and there.
However, increasing demand for land have led to encroachment threats. According to the Northern Region Manager of the Forest Services Division, Kwesi Fripong, this encroachment poses a challenge.
Because the forest is in the middle of town, it looks as if everybody is interested in the land. Because it's almost the land available for building has become a bit limited, and so everybody is trying as much as possible to find a way to encroach, and so that has been a major challenge. We always every now and then have to be driving people away from there. People want to put kiosks, people want to erect structures within the forest reserve. That has been a major. The other thing, the challenge that I can talk about is that of those who dispose of refuse inside the forest reserve. It's something that has been a major challenge in that our officers work during the day, and so these things happen in the night or early mornings, and so it becomes a challenge trying to control those people that try to dump refuge into the forest reserve. One other thing that I can talk about is the annual bushfires. Bushfires has been a major cause of damage to our forest resources in this part of the country. The ones we are those ones that we are planting, and the ones that have the natural ones.
Trees are incredibly efficient at absorbing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. This process, known as carbon sequestration, removes excess carbon from the atmosphere, slowing global warming. According to various sources, including the United States Environmental Protection Agency, a mature forest with about 10,000 trees can absorb around 500 tons of carbon dioxide annually, equivalent to taking 100 cars off the road for a year. However, this number can vary greatly depending on factors like tree species, age, size, and location. Dr. Caleb Mensah, an environmental physicist at the University of Energy and Natural Resources.
Also, they also play a very major role in regulating the temperatures, especially within the urban setting. We all know how these urban settings are characterized by materials that are able to really absorb a lot of heat and emit, thereby increasing the temperatures as compared to those in the rural setting. So when these trees are there through evapotranspiration, they are also able to help cool the atmosphere that will be within the urban environment, and through that it will relieve us from these thermal discomfort or these heat stress.
Dr. Mensah emphasizes the crucial role urban forests play in purifying the air by removing harmful pollutants that would otherwise linger in the atmosphere.
Also, these urban forests are able to also help play a major role when it comes to the public health, in the sense that they help to filter out pollutants that would have stayed in the atmosphere of these urban settings for a long time by absorbing most of these particulate matters and even ozone. They are able to help reduce its concentration within the atmosphere, thereby enhancing some of these respiratory or cardiovascular diseases that many inhabitants within the cities would have also been affected by. And so there is the need for us to really protect these urban settings and make sure that we are doing our possible best to also protect these urban forests. And also, as we also protect these urban forests, they also even help in preserving or conserving some of these tree and animal species that are actually going into extinct.
So I think if the traditional leaders, they don't sell this forest out for people to build houses, and it's been preserved, more trees being built inside, it will give us more shades and also protect the indigents around their community and the country as a whole.
That's why some residents are calling for a collective effort to monitor and report any trace. The Vice President of the Northern Regional Youth Network, Abukari Mohammed, is among residents who acknowledge the crucial role the forest plays in combating climate change.
Chiefs, stakeholders, students should come together to formulate a policy, a law, to be able to protect this forest. We have instances whereby it is being sold to individuals and public people or private people. So a law has to be as a custodian law within the tamale, to be able to complement the national law, so that whoever buys this particular plot of land are not going to be allowed to construct anything under this particular place.
Abukari is not alone. Speaker of the Northern Regional Youth Parliament, Musa Timtoni, also knows that the destruction of forests and trees in the area has already led to noticeable consequences.
3 years ago, we need to have rains around April, May, thereabouts. But these past years, we waited for so long for the rains, but they never came. So this simply tells us that there is a change in the rain patterns, and we need to critically look at the environment and ask ourselves why such occurrences. Simply, we have that changes, or those changes, because of the fact that we keep on felling trees, we keep on destroying our forests.
Our camera captured a midwife parking her car under the forest shade after dropping off her child at school. Abigail Nso expresses discontent with the current state of the forest.
I think this forest is very important and relevant to us. As you can see, I just drove and parked here after dropping my boy in school to take some air at the shades here. So I think the way we are managing the forests, if the government or the community can do something about it, defecating around the bushes here will not serve us any good purpose.
Honestly, I live at Gombihini. I've been
living here, this neighborhood, all my life. And actually, this is where that we used to go and have fun and play growing up. So it's very, very important for this forest to be preserved. So this is not a land-based forest. That's a highly ecosystem.
The Northern Region Manager for the Forest Service Division acknowledges that the division cannot single-handedly safeguard the forest.
Thank you. In fact, Forestry Commission over the years have come to the realization that we alone wouldn't be able to protect or manage the forest reserve. And so we are doing that collaborative forest management. And when we say that, we mean that we need the support of communities, community members, individuals to protect and also manage the forest reserve. For instance, if you want to establish plantations within the forest reserves, we cannot do it alone. Always we involve communities to help us to plant trees and take care of them, to nurture them, to grow into maturity. And so communities and individuals play critical role in protecting these forests. The other thing that I can talk about is the fact that if you want to protect a forest reserve, one other thing that one has to do is involvement of community living close by the forest reserves, in that they are supposed to be watchdogs. They will be helping us with information so that at every point in time, should anybody enters the forest reserve to do things that go contrary to the law, they report. And at times they have watchdog committees who serve us, helping us in protecting these reserves.
We have to have integrated planning and make sure that we are able to plan very well, especially when it comes to these urban developments. We have to have ways that we integrate these green spaces and urban forests within our way of development, so that we don't only make sure that we just degrade the forest and then we have nowhere to go to cool off.
By preserving these forests, the people of Tamale can contribute to creating a healthier environment for everyone, ultimately playing a vital role in mitigating the global climate crisis. Reports by Mohamed Nuruddin.
This is the big story segment on the AM show. But right before we get into our stories this morning, I want to remind you that this year's CompuGhana Cashback has been named as Prime Cashback Season. And it's packed with incredible deals and exciting surprises. Now, this Prime Cashback, CompuGhana, is bringing you exclusive discounts, prime savings, and awesome surprises when you shop products from any of the branches nationwide. You can find products from your favorite brands like Samsung, LG, TCL, HP, Lenovo, Dell, Media, Nasco, Tecno, Infinix, Itel, Huawei, and many more. Visit any of CompuGhana branches nationwide and enjoy exclusive discounts on all products. You know that CompuGhana has a wide range of IT-related products like mobile phones and electronic products such as laptops, printers, desktops, tablets, televisions, fridges, home theaters, air conditioners, gas cookers, and more. And what's more amazing this year is that this year's Prime Cashback with CompuGhana has got great prices and instant gifts and cash prizes for your shopping experience. So anytime you shop at CompuGhana this season, be on the lookout for the surprise team. Answer a question correctly and win instant cash and gifts. You deserve this opportunity too, so rush to CompuGhana now. The promo runs from now till December, so visit CompuGhana.com or simply call 0302 752 020 for more information. Ben will tell you more.
Well, even as we talk about all of this, you know your health is your wealth. And that's why I'd like to introduce to you Medicas Hospital, a modern healthcare facility built with your recovery in mind. They have spacious wards built with your family in mind, a warm and caring pediatric unit built with your children in mind. And to top it off, they've assembled some of the brightest minds in medicine, led by Dr. Yawasafo, the drive-time doctor, to serve you. But that's not all. There's still more. They offer general medical services as well as specialist services in the following areas: plastic surgery, obstetrics, gynecology, child health, urology, psychiatry, and eye care. Additionally, they also offer a comprehensive medical diagnostic service encompassing endoscopy, medical laboratory services, x-rays, and scans. And if you're trying to get premium medicine to help your recovery, they have a 24-hour pharmacy ensuring you will always receive efficacious, safe, and affordable medicine. And they are bringing to you something that we all need: the most powerful medicine of all: simple human kindness and empathy. They take pride in holding themselves to the highest attainable standards, and they accept all forms of payment as well, including from private health insurance companies. Locate Medicas Hospital at number 10 Kinso Street near the Ashale Boche School Junction. You can reach them on 0501 477 340. That is 0501 477 340. On social media, they are at Medicas GH. Medicas Hospital, a place of healing.
Well, we are your election headquarters.
The National Democratic Congress, at a press conference on Tuesday, raised some concerns bordering on a number of issues in relation to the 2024 general elections. Key amongst them is the fear of a plot to rig the elections. Communications officer of the party, Sammy Gyamfi, alleges that the NPP has employed the services of a military official to help them rig the election.
Take charge of a well-crafted scheme that has been designed by the NPP to rig the upcoming elections, particularly in the Ashanti region, through ballot stuffing, swapping of ballot boxes, swapping of pink sheets, and other clandestine activities, starting with a special voting exercise scheduled for December 2nd of this year.
Although he failed to provide evidence to this when he was pushed by the media, he said the party has enough intelligence in its possession to back the claim. He adds that they will, in the coming days, petition the Inspector General of Police to investigate the matter.
We will be petitioning the IGP because he's the chairman of the Election Security Task Force. We will also be drawing the attention of the CDS to these developments officially, but not just him. Our external developmental partners will also be notified. And so the observers will be notified, the foreign missions will be notified.
But Communications Director of the New Patriotic Party, Richard Ahiagba, has refuted the allegations, insisting no military official has been employed to rig the elections in favor of the NPP.
Well, the specific answer to your question is no. He is not working with the New Patriotic Party. He's not part of our campaign. And so, therefore, we have not contracted him to do any such job that the NDC is crying about.
On the safety of citizens during the elections, the NDC says the IGP and the Ghana Police Service must ensure that no life is lost in the process.
Elections are about counting heads and not cutting heads. No single person in Ghana must lose their life because of an election. Because this is about the people's free will to decide for themselves those they deem fit to lead them. The IGP owes a duty to the people of Ghana to be firm and fair-minded to ensure peace during and after the December 7th elections. In this regard, we in the NDC assure him of our fullest cooperation.
The party is hopeful that their concerns will be addressed ahead of the elections. James Savage's report for Joy News.
So what are we talking about? The NDC has alleged a grand scheme to rig the 2024 elections and is calling for the immediate removal of Brigadier General Michael Opoku, the General Officer of the Central Command, whom they say supervised the Ayawaso brutality years ago and has a notorious record unbecoming of his profession. We'll delve into this, but also the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, that's CODEO, have raised concerns over instances of vote buying in the Ashanti, Savannah and Western regions in the second report from its observation of the pre-election environment ahead of the December 7th election, that is the presidential and parliamentary elections. How concerned should we be in our efforts to secure credibility of the elections? You want to stay with us. Ben will bring in our guest and the conversation will start.
Well, welcome aboard. Of course, we are your election headquarters and we're delving into those critical issues. Joining us via Zoom, we have Dr. John Osai Kwapong. He is a CDD fellow. We also have Dr. Kwesi Amache Boateng, a political scientist at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Doc and Doc, good morning.
Good morning to you, Ben. Good morning to Sweetie as well.
Good morning to you. Good morning to you.
And good morning, Doc.
Right.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Right. Let's look at these two issues, starting with some of the claims that have been made. But let's start with the CODEO report, that release so far, and some of what it has revealed. It makes for very interesting reading, and we'll be projecting some of them so that you react to them. But what are your initial thoughts on CODEO and some of the revelations that have come through, from incumbency, advantage abuse, to vote buying in certain places, and everything in between? I'll start with you, Dr. Amache Boateng.
Okay. Thanks for this opportunity, and once again, good morning to your viewers. Actually, Ghana has been, experiencing this challenge of incumbency abuse. I do recall that President Kufuor accused President Rawlings of same, and yet when he came to office, he had to himself, admit and apologize. So far, it has not been easy for governments to restrain themselves. But you see, this is an interesting thing because governments are interested in winning the elections, and democracy has election as the major engine driving it. And to the extent that they want to, win the elections, over there, it's an issue of self-interest. It's not necessarily a national interest that they are pursuing. So they want to explore all opportunities to do so. And governments in the Fourth Republic, have not restrained themselves as far as, incumbency abuse is concerned. So maybe going forward, is it possible for us to come up with something, some external, if you like, institutional arrangement that can restrain them, that can compel them not to do certain things? Because it looks as if we've allowed them, if you like, to appropriate ethics in politics and to, go through self-restraint. They won't do it. They want to win the elections. They want to win it at all cost. And somehow democracies play, not necessarily that way, but in some countries it does play, along similar fashions. I do recall Donald Trump, the last time around, year 2020, he wanted to win at all cost. And he did, move to get his will. So if a developing country like that, developing country like Ghana, suffers a similar issue, I don't think we should be surprised. But we need to come up with institutions, and that is the test of the country's ability to run democracy. The challenges that come up, it is up to the relevant polity to come up with institutional arrangement to address those challenges. So I would take it as a challenge confronting Ghana, and it's up to us to do something about it.
And we shall dissect these items bit by bit, but I'm taking your initial thoughts. I'll come to you, Dr. Osai Kwapong.
Yes. So following on the theme that Dr. Amache mentioned with regards to the abuse of incumbency, the one point that I would also add is it presents a sort of a tricky dilemma, in the sense that on the one hand, government work can't stop, right? Government has to continue functioning. Government has to continue spending money. If there are projects, if there are programs, if there are policies that needs to be rolled out, government has to continue functioning. But on the other hand, it also poses the issue of the timing of certain government actions and whether it is purely a case of ensuring that the wheels are continuing in motion for governance, or whether it is also motivated by politics and securing advantage over your political opponents to project this idea that government has really been doing a lot. And we've been going through that every election cycle over the past 8 elections that we have, where there's always that accusation of, or at least the issue of abuse of incumbency comes up. If a party is in opposition, they take the issue of abuse of incumbency very seriously. And then when they are in government, abuse of incumbency is no longer an issue, but it's just simply government continuing to work. And as Doc said, the challenge is how do you put in certain institutional arrangement rules that allows you to tame that practice where we can at least have a sense of a fair playing field and move away from this abuse of incumbency issue.
All right. Now, you're seeing some slides, I believe, those of you watching, and I'm sure guests as well, if you have a second option of watching what we are doing. I just want to run briefly by you some of the thoughts in there as we highlight the conversation. This observation by Cordeo, in terms of a summary of the findings, it points to increased voter education by the Electoral Commission, continuous domination of the MPP and the NDC as the dominant forces in our elections, different focus on issues by the MPP and the NDC, and generally peaceful political climate, as well as use of state resources for campaign purposes. All of those in there. Then you look at the pre-election observation and campaign activities observed from different fronts. So you look at house-to-house engagements. You would realize that you have the NPP, and of course the blue represents the NPP, the green represents the NDC. You would realize that the NPP is in the blue and the NDC is in the green. And house to house, you have 81% for the NPP, 78% for the NDC. Then in terms of meetings, interactions, maybe face-to-face meetings, you have 65% engagement from the NPP's point, and then 70% from the NDC. Rallies, 42% for the NPP, 44% for the NDC, and then party marches, 25% from the NPP, 20% from the NDC. So it's pretty balanced. I think two apiece in terms of the leading, but they are pretty close in terms of engagements. You look at the campaign messages. What is the focus of the NPP? Education, agriculture, health. Of course, free SHS would be topical in there. Agri, you've seen the recent talk about silos and everything, health as well. The NDC is touting the economy, unemployment and corruption. In fact, if you look at the points the NDC makes, those are issues that in 2016 were the highlight of the elections. Now, 8 years on, the NDC is riding on those. It goes back to the point made by Dr. Amache Boateng that sometimes there's a lot of talk when you're in opposition, but when you are in power, it changes. And that's what we've seen as far as the NPP, what they said then versus what they are focusing on now. But if you go to the next slide, you would realize the Cordeo pre-election observation. They've also observed that there's a lot of vote buying going on. 10% of reports received indicated instances of vote buying. And of course, there would be more, but these are what they captured. And where? The question is, where are these things happening? If you go on, you would find out that it's happening predominantly in the Ashanti region, per the Cordeo report, in the Savannah region, and in the Western regions. These are interesting for different reasons, and we'll get into that shortly. Sweetie Abochi?
Right, let me start straight away with Dr. John Osai-Kwapong. Doc, so these reports paint a clear picture. I like that we have a peaceful political climate, and that voter education is increasing from the Electoral Commission. But what does this trend reveal about voter priorities and the strength of civic education for these three regions that we are focusing on, Western, Savannah, and the Ashanti region? What does it tell us about the voting pattern or the trends in those places?
Yeah, so especially as it relates to the vote buying and why those three regions are being cited, I suspect that in a place like Ashanti region, for example, it is, and this is my speculation, that perhaps it is motivated by ensuring that you can get your base out to go and vote. In the other two regions, I'm wondering if the parties involved in this vote buying exercise, if it is because they are picking up intel that they promise to be some of the competitive regions where this election is concerned, and that is why you're seeing these incidents of vote buying. But the one thing that I would remind the political parties of when it comes to the issue of vote buying is I'll draw the attention to a pre-election survey that CDD did in the 2016 election, where voters were asked about vote buying and what your response should be if you are offered inducements. And majority said, I'll take the inducement, but I'll still vote the way that I want to vote. And so not that it's a good thing or not that it cannot sway some voters, but the cautionary tale there for political parties and those engaged in vote buying is that there's still no guarantee that that inducement that you offer is going to ensure that that voter cast their vote for your party. Because on the day of the election, you are not there with the voter when he or she is at the polling booth casting their vote. So it's one thing that the political parties would have to keep in mind as they engage in vote buying.
Right. Dr. Machi, and this is not new. It's not the first time we are hearing of incidents of vote buying all over the place. But the question is it a good campaign strategy, or is it a desperate move to get the vote in these three particular regions, Ashanti, Western, and Savannah regions? What do you think? What's your interpretation of what's happening there?
Well, first of all, I would like to say that it's a disturbing development because Ghana has come far with this democratic practice. And if at this material moment in time, politicians are not able to, beat their chest about the good things they have done, the economy, people's conditions of life improved, but have to go down and try to influence voters by offering money, and they are taking us back. This practice should be coming down. Generally, it should be coming down. It's bordering. It's a border because it sort of also undermines the electorate. In a way, the electorates are, if you like, gullible. They are terribly poor. You give them anything at all, they will take it and vote for you. To the extent that this practice goes on, politicians would not be pushed, to focus on the developmental agenda. That's why, I'm not surprised about what has happened in recent times. Talking, a demonstration that talking is not doing. During this time, the campaigns, they go about and promise heavens in political office. They simply turn their attention on something else. If their trust is that they can purchase their way through, then our democracy is simply going nowhere. It is indeed a disturbing development.
In your opening remarks, you mentioned that we should be looking at or coming up with new institutions, something to mitigate this, should I call it a canker? And you say that it is affecting our democracy. Should we actually be looking at prosecuting people who, if confirmed, that they're involved in vote buying ahead of elections?
We would want to do something like that, but the challenge is that institutions in Ghana historically have not been able to, muster the will to address matters of this nature, especially when it's got to do with governments, when it's got to do with political parties, when it's got to do with the state. Institutions are not able to see themselves as autonomous, irrespective of the fact that by the Constitution, the sitting president might have to appoint some individuals to work in some capacity for the state. But after such appointment, those institutions are supposed to be independent and autonomous, and they are supposed to be guided by, if you like, the norms of the institution. But unfortunately, Ghana has not seen that from the time of independence to date. People sort of simply try to win the sort of a favor of the people in power. And so, yes, Sweetie, we might think of coming up with some such institution. My fear is that it won't work. It won't work. We will just be spending another money, expanding the bureaucracy, and if you like, draining the public purse.
Right.
It might not give us the desired outcome.
Then.
Well, Dr. Osayi-Kwapong, I heard you talk about the bit about vote buying, or was it Dr. Amache Boateng? But the point to be made is, you know, some of these people talk about the fact that in terms of vote buying, while it is criminal to go into the voting booth and take any photo or even go there with a phone and all of that to snap a shot of what you're doing, some politicians still urge adherents to do that. And we've seen people attempt that. There's also the bit about some people saying that, well, you have to swear when you take my money, swear an oath, and that when you get in there, if you vote contrary to what you took my money for, then, I mean, all these things are in there. So you can't downplay the impact of these, can you?
No, you can't. And I'm not sure the extent to which the laws around vote buying can be enforced, in the sense that the person taking the inducement has to report it, and the person offering the inducement, you have to find a way to prove that it was an inducement designated or designed to skew the voters' voting decision, etc., etc.
Right.
One of the things that the National Commission for Civic Education pointed out, especially during the primary season, was that years ago, it was something that appeared to be done in secret and in the background, right? So you'd hear about some of these inducements. Their worry is that now it seems like it's an open marketplace for buying and selling votes, right? Especially during the primaries and what they were observing. Our best response to it, again, would be if you can enforce the laws around that and be able to prosecute people for that. But again, you would have to be able to, arrest, get the evidence, and prosecute folks engaging in that. So civic education ends up being another potent tool, continuing to educate, citizens that this is not the way to go, educating political parties to restrain themselves from engaging in such activities. But ultimately, I believe that if voters continue the pattern of, you can induce me for all you want, but I would vote against you, maybe at some point, political parties and candidates would get the message, learn the lesson, and stop offering inducements.
I am curious about something that comes up, because if you look at the regions pointed to, even before I go to the segregation of the campaign messages, we're looking at the Ashanti region, the Savannah region, and the Western region. What's interesting about the Ashanti region, and I'm coming to you, Dr. Amache Boateng, on this one before I go back to Doc, is that there has been talk about the New Patriotic Party losing a foothold on the Ashanti region. Not that they will not win the region, the trajectory shows they will, but that they may get lesser votes. And we know that whenever that happens, the party could suffer great cost. The Savannah region, interestingly, is the region from which the main opponent, John Dramani Mahama, hails. You get it? Then you have the Western region, another key region for the MPP. What dynamics do you see in there, and why this may be popping up in terms of voter inducement?
This is an interesting development because you want to ordinarily argue that, people want to feel safe in the areas that traditionally they have been doing well. But then that is not necessarily what is playing out now. The case of Ashanti region, presents some interesting scenario because there are fears, actually. There are fears that, just like you said, yes, the MPP might come out, winning the majority of the votes, but they might not necessarily get everything that they need. The problem is the governance and then honoring their promises. Ashanti region, I don't know what happened in government, but Ashanti region was sort of relegated to the background in terms of the sharing of the national cake. For a long time, the rules were not fixed. And I remember, the media took up the issue. There was a time when Honorable Kennedy Japan came to Kumasi, went to a particular FM station and blasted the MPP for, allowing the rules in Ashanti region to remain the way they are. As we speak, when you enter Kumasi from Accra through Ejusu, and you fly down the main road that, brings you to Kumasi, that road is still, the way it is. And just this morning, coming here, I was monitoring the discussions on radio stations. A particular radio station was pointing out, several areas where they think something should be done in the very short run. And interestingly, they mentioned airport runabout, that there's a gully right in the middle of the road, just this morning. So the party has a cause, to be jittery. The party has a cause, a reason to be jittery. And if indeed they are the ones behind this vote buying issue, then definitely I will not be surprised. Kumasi market women came out recently complaining that they came speedily, surrounded by soldiers, and pulled down the structures. They were not even given the time to pack out, and that they promised they were going to speedily put it back. As we speak, it has not been done. They came out openly and they spoke to the party that they will use their tongue to punish them openly. They said that problem with the economy affects everybody, So Ashanti region definitely is one of the areas that if you find yourself in a situation of this nature, you want to affect it. The case of Savannah is an interesting thing. I don't know the inroads that Dr. Bawumia has made there for former President Mahama. Once you come from the area, we want to take it for granted that you have normally endeared yourself to the people. They know what you stand for, your values. And so going to the polls, you don't have second thoughts as to who they are voting for. If these are not, the sense running through the NDC, then once again, it's problematic. It comes from governance. While in office, what exactly happened? Why is it that the basic needs of the people were not attended to? That of Western region possibly is become, a place where they are all trying to, come out strong and do better than the other. So these dynamics are playing themselves out the way they are playing themselves out. I think the problem has been governance. And delivering on their promises.
Okay. Let me put that same question to Dr. Osai Kwapong, especially noting that in the 2020 presidential elections, John Dramani Mahama in the Savannah region where he hails polled 144,244 votes, accounting for 62.97% of the vote. And Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo of the MPP polled 80,605, accounting for 35.19%. Your reflections?
Yes, and I would reiterate exactly the things that Dr. Machi has pointed out, right? Which is when you look at the dynamics in the Ashanti region, there's a concern about ensuring that the base really turns out. Yes, the MPP will win the Ashanti region, but it needs to win the Ashanti region by a certain percentage. And so if these activities are going on, my belief is that it is driven by ensuring that they get that minimum level of support in the region. In the Savannah region, the other thing you would also notice, not just in the Savannah region, but in the regions in the northern region, you would notice that over time, the NPP has really improved its performance in those regions. And so again, if you pick Savannah, it's the same dynamic that is playing in Ashanti. In Ashanti, NPP's concern is ensuring the base, making sure that you get a certain level of support. Probably that's the same instincts that are driving what is going on in the Savannah region. And then, of course, Western region is a very competitive region. And so, again, it's how do I ensure that I win one of the competitive regions in this upcoming election?
Sweetie, so something that I find interesting, I don't know, I'm curious about the MPP's focus in terms of the campaign messaging. Education, understandable, agriculture, which has had its own problems, and health, which has also had its own problems. But then, interestingly for me, the things that they wrote on to come to power in 2016, the economy, unemployment, corruption.
That's what the NDC is.
It's what the NDC is now campaigning on. It paints an interesting picture, doesn't it?
Well, it means that, I think, that they cannot talk about economy because they are in power. That is why perhaps the former president came under so much scrutiny for saying that Bawumia is the one to liberate us. They are in power, so they cannot preach economy. But I want to focus on abuse of incumbency, and this is to you, Dr. John Osai-Kwapo. And let me quote this from the report. It says about 11% of observer reports noted the use of public, that is state or local vehicles, for campaigning on behalf of an incumbent candidate. Where do we draw the line? I get that there are some incidents that are clearly abuse of power. For example, putting campaign flyers on drip equipment and the rest. But where do we draw the line? If they are using state vehicles that they use to campaign, it is theirs to use, is it not?
Well, the state vehicles assigned to them have been assigned to them to be used in whatever official capacity that they are in. So in the US, the way we try to address that issue of separating the things that you use official tools of government for and your own campaign activities is this. So for example, let's say when a certain president has to travel to a particular state, but as part of that particular state, has to also make a campaign stop. What they do is you fly Air Force One, and the portion of the of your flight where you make a campaign stop, a cost is calculated and charged to your campaign, and you have to reimburse. You have to reimburse the state so that you are not, using a state resource like Air Force One to be traveling around the country. So we found a way to address some of these things. So if you are a government official and you are an MP or you want to go and campaign for your party and you feel it's, whatever reason, inconvenient, so you just want to just stick with the same car that you always use, then the issue is you shouldn't charge that to the state, right? That there has to be a way of saying, okay, you drove from Accra to Kumasi to go and campaign for your party using a state vehicle and state fuel. That is not going to be catered for by the state, and you have to some way, somehow reimburse the government for using that kind of resource for a campaign activity. I'm not sure how we'll put in those mechanisms to track that, because again, it would also require that those who do that honestly report and are transparent, about it. But it's worrying, right, that you're using, blatantly using state resources to campaign. It makes the field uneven.
Right, and let me throw that to Dr. Machi. Doc, do we have laws in Ghana preventing incidents like these? And also, I want to hear your thoughts on where we draw the line. Should we be looking at adopting some reforms from the Western world?
Okay, on the issue of the laws, it's not that I'm familiar with. Doesn't mean there might not be laws in place as we speak. And then, looking at the way forward, we might, if you like, adopt something from, the U.S. case that Dr. Kwapon related to, because my understanding of, Ghana's case is that I think once again, we expect, government officials to restrain themselves and to know that, look, I'm attending this program. It's got to do with my party activities. And so the moment you do that, you won't get the desired results. Once again, you need an external body to check and to, come in strongly to let you know that what you have done, it amounts to using public resources for personal gain, for party gains. And so going forward, I like to believe that the U.S. model is something that we could adopt here. It's what I see as a common sense approach, because government officials, need their security. The state has a duty to provide that. And if these have already been established and confirmed on the ground, their vehicles, the personnel who have to go with them to ensure that, they are safe, while at the same time going about a desired action, campaigning, to, maintain political power as part of our democratic work, then we need to work it out in such ways that, at least they could reimburse the state, for using state resources when it is established that they are for, party businesses.
Thank you so much. We'll move on to the next topic. Benjamin Asher is in.
Well, we're very grateful, gentlemen, for having joined the conversation. We had Dr. Kwesi Amakye-Boateng. But before you go, gentlemen, we'd like you to also consider the case that the NDC is making in respect of the December 7 elections being rigged. We have a representation from both sides who will join us for that discussion. I'll start with you, Dr. Amakye-Boateng. What then is your take on everything from General Opoku to what hand he may have from Ayawaso West Wuogon to now to Dwaboso and plans to rig the election? I'm sure you followed. What are your thoughts on them? I'll start with you, Dr. Amakye-Boateng.
Yeah, generally, Ben, I would say that democracies are difficult to maintain. Generally. Democracies over the years have come out as a desired system of government, and you have many countries in the world now practicing democracy than other forms of, governments, and yet, it is a challenge, very, very difficult to maintain. As much as possible, you need a minimum of coercion and maximum of consent, and this brings in additional issues because it involves essentially competition for power, political power. Here we have the potential for conflict. And it's an institutionalized conflict, especially when we go into elections. So the issue of a level playing field becomes, very important. And state institutions should do well to establish it. Otherwise, the conflict could get out of hand. Only yesterday, we saw attempts by some individuals even to take the life of, Donald Trump in the United States of America. That is, some level that some of these conflicts, could get. If a political party has a cause to suspect any issue, they can't keep quiet. They can't sleep over it. And one challenge that Ghana has had is that we have thrown ethics in politics, to the background, relegated it to the background. There are certain things that states should not do. If, for example, an individual participated in this Ayawaso West Wuogon thing and was indicted in one or another way, we got to respect the state's own institutions established and go ahead and implement whatever it is, recommendations that were put down. If such people become, put themselves in a position where they could be promoted, fair enough. But somehow, we put them in situations where their very presence can fuel potential conflict, especially during elections that might be debatable and a very difficult issue to relate to. So the NDC definitely has its foot on something. I like to believe. I don't think they are just coming out to, if you like, with some propaganda to cause panic and fear in the system.
Right.
They might have their foot on something. How are we going to deal with them? I think going forward, all of us will want to be as clear and as transparent as possible, desiring peace. And so whatever it is that we need to put in place now to provide some guarantees that certain things will not happen going into the elections. We've got to do so now. And once again, their desire to appeal to the IGP, to me, it is good, it is positive. Everybody should be on the lookout. It's good that we have domestic and international election observers who will also be here to participate in everything. Are we going to deviate from our pattern? The elections take place at a polling stations. They are counted there with everybody present. The pink sheets are signed and then sent to collation center. Are we going to deviate from this?
Right.
If we were to follow this, then you have difficulty in saying that it's going to be possible for people to bring in already staffed ballot boxes from some place and replacing them. So I think the open nature of our elections itself, it's also going to provide fair checks and balances to address some of these issues.
Right. Dr. John Osai-Kwapong, that same question to you, but then you listen to the NDC presser, they talk about the fact that some of the people that the EC is even using as Electoral Commission officials have quite an affinity to the MPP, party officials and all of that. What's your response on that? And then we'll let you go.
Yeah, thank you very much. So, I mean, if there are, concerns about certain individuals with plans to compromise the integrity of the election, then certainly these are not issues to be taken lightly and they must be addressed. I think for me, I have two concerns. One is in every election year, we tend to have these, issues come up about, plans to rig. And the political parties keep alternating in making these assertions and allegations of, suspected plans to rig an election, etc., etc. So again, for me, not to make light of whatever evidence they have or may not have, but I'm just cautioning that this repeated cycle would have to find a way to, at some point, break it. The other thing, too, is that we've built enough transparent safeguard mechanisms into our electoral processes that, for me, it gives me confidence that it has the ability to ward off any nefarious activities that may compromise its integrity. Now, it doesn't mean that if folks still have plans, ways of getting around those mechanisms, we should not look into it and we should not address it. And I just hope that whatever it is, the appropriate authorities would look at it between now and when election day comes.
All right. Gentlemen, we're so grateful for your time. Thank you for walking with us through this conversation. Dr. John Osai-Kwapong is a CDD fellow. Dr. Kwesi Amache-Boateng is a political scientist at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Also joining the conversation, we have Haruna Mohammed. He is a Deputy General Secretary of the NPP. And in the studio, we have Sammy Gyamfi, of course, who speaks for the NDC, National Communications Director. Sammy, good morning.
Good morning, Ben.
It's been tiring, huh?
That's the nature of the job.
The campaign is taking its toll. It is clear that, it's not easy, huh?
Not easy at all, but
okay, all right.
We make an impact, and that is what gives me joy.
Great. Let me bring in Haruna Mohammed, first of all, to share his thoughts on these developments, these claims made by the NDC. Haruna, good morning.
Good morning, Benjamin.
I hope you're well. It's good to have you join the conversation.
Oh, I'm very well.
All right. What do you make? I've seen some responses from the MPP on the back of the NDC's presser and the claims about rigging the votes, or at least the election, I should say. What is the reaction of the MPP?
Thank you very much, Benjamin. I first of all will say good morning to your cherished viewers and my colleagues on the panel. For us, with regards to the presser that is made by the NDC, clearly tells us that the NDC clearly admits that they are losing this election. and they are finding every straw to hold on so that they will be able to tell their supporters that this was the reason why they lost the elections. In 2015, 2016, they had made so many statements, similar statements of us training people in places that we want to use to rig elections. And eventually they went ahead to lose the elections. And we are not interested in some of these particular gimmicks. We are not playing games. We are making sure that we are working towards winning elections. What we do know is that military is not the Electoral Commission. And if you have issues with one individual, of which Sammy Gyamfi has indicated it clearly in many of instances that he has made statements that when they come to power, they are going to deal with the security agencies. They will make sure that some of them, they will retire them and send them home. So I am not surprised that he comes out to make this particular statement. It was completely a waste of Ghanaian people's time yesterday to have come out. The elections are won at the polling stations. And if they are so interested in playing the game, they should go down to the grassroots and make sure that they get their votes. But I am very confident that the MPP is going to win the elections, and no matter what lies and propaganda that is put out there. We are focused. And as I speak with you, I'm coming from Saboba. I've been there for some days now, and I think that the message is going down well with the people of Ghana.
I have two quick follow-ups for you before Sweetie Abochi comes through. One, you suggest that, I mean, this is the stock in trade of the NDC and that they usually would do this. Your side, the MPP, has also, you know, claimed rigging, made rigging claims in the past. I don't know whether you were losing elections then. But more to the point, on the specific issue of not being interested in this matter, you said your party, the MPP, was not interested in this issue. It is a grave national security issue if there's any rigging that happens. And to add to all of that, you have General Michael involved as well, Opoku, involved as, or his name mentioned. Now, this is someone who, according to the Short Commission, was supposed to have been indicted for some of what happened. You're saying all of that is not a concern for your side?
When you made a statement, did you have any evidence that is watertight to be able to put the person that is mentioned? Did they give you any evidence to support that?
He's going to be giving that this morning.
Today. No.
He'll be delivering that this morning. My question, no. You're addressing a different thing. You're addressing a different point. My question is, you say you are not interested, and I'm asking, would you not be interested in getting to the bottom of the matter? That is what I'm asking.
Interested in lies? We are not interested in propaganda, Benjamin.
How can you tell it's a lie?
We are not interested in lies. We are not interested in propaganda. We are not interested in dishonesty. We are not interested in matters that cannot be proven over time. We cannot go on a fishing expedition.
If you don't investigate, how will you know whether it's true or not? If you don't investigate, how will you know whether it's true or not?
Investigate what? The person should bring evidence. If you go to the police today and report a matter, an investigator will have to be asked to go to get the issues that matters. The MPP is not an investigative body. We are a political party. We are stakeholders. And we know that the NDC, their stock in trade is to lie, is to do propaganda, is to be dishonest, is to make sure that when they are unprepared and they know they are losing some of these things, these are the things that they do. We know them. They have made their posturing. We know what they have against the security of this country. The police have not been left out. The military have not been left out. Other security agencies have not been left out. They've indicated that when they come, they are going to dismantle some of these particular forces. They are coming out to talk about elections. Military is not in charge of elections. It is the Electoral Commission that is in charge of elections. Police is in charge of internal security. And if there is something that the military has to intervene, there is going to be a command instruction that comes from the necessary courtesies as to what is supposed to be done.
Okay.
When has the military has been used to rig elections? It is the NDC in this country that have used military to conduct coup and then take over regimes. The MPP has not had any military engagement in the past, in the history of our governance system. So I don't think that we are much interested in lies. We are not interested in dishonesty. We are not interested in propaganda. We are not interested in unpreparedness to put this on the people. You can't play on the emotions of the people.
All right, Haruna, thank you. Thank you. I think you're now repeating, you're just repeating yourself. What I am interested in, sweetie, is...
I'm not repeating myself, Benjamin. I always have this issue with you.
I think you've made the point. And
Haruna,
you seem just to be going back to the point. That's what I meant. I have a curious bit about the Emil Short report and some of those developments. But let's hear from the horse's own mouth.
Yeah, now you've listened to Haruna, but I want to make a case. Yesterday, 4 things stood out for me. You said that the appointment of Brigadier General, what's his name again? Opoku.
Michael Opoku.
Michael Opoku is a promotion for leading the Ayawaso West Wagon by election violence. You say that he's been given explicit orders from President Akufo-Addo to rig the elections, and he's training some NPP thugs. And then finally, they're using his house as storage for weapons and election rigging materials. When asked for you to back these claims with evidence, you said, when a person who chews crab says he'll chew calabash, you don't doubt that. You've listened to Haruna this morning. What is your case? And be as evidential as possible. Back these claims with facts for us. What's your argument?
Well, I've not listened to anybody called Haruna this morning. I was invited here for a one-on-one interview. I'm here to answer your questions.
Sammy, be respectful to the gentleman.
I'm being very respectful.
But you heard listening to anybody. But you just heard him speak.
No, I didn't.
How can you say you've not listened?
Was somebody speaking?
No,
I never heard it.
No.
The only thing I've heard,
Sammy Gyamfi, don't do that.
The only thing I've heard in the studio is the question you asked, and that is what I'm here for.
Sammy Gyamfi.
Answer your questions for the benefit of your audience out there. I didn't come here. Listen, hold on.
Don't do this.
I'm doing this for good reason.
It's not.
I'm doing this for. I will do it for good reason, because we must not reduce every matter in this country to NPP NDC debates. This issue is not about the NDC or the NPP. We have raised an issue about an individual. The individual is called Michael Kojo Opoku. He has a telephone number. If that individual has a response, we will engage him. Who is this guy? He doesn't even know the man we are talking about here. So let's deal with the issue.
No,
when you do this, you play into their hands and you
Gyamfi.
bastardize the issue. And that is not what I'm here for.
Okay,
you invited me here to engage me on a press conference with them. And that is what
I will let you do that. But first,
I refuse to hear anything aside questions from
First, acknowledge the person on the other side. And if you will not, but don't. Who is this guy?
Who?
What do you mean by who is this guy?
I should acknowledge.
He's a deputy general secretary of the MPP. Okay. You know him.
Well, you ask. I don't know him. I've not even heard of him before.
He is a deputy general secretary.
Well, thank you for the information.
But Sammy, you know what? Before you answer the question,
yes,
the case you're making, it involves the NPP. You have stated categorically that the president has given explicit orders for them to rig the election in their favor. It is only fair that we listen to what they have to say.
I'm not saying it's not fair that you listen to them.
So,
I am saying that we don't want to banter anybody who is not at the heart of the issues we have raised. At the heart of the issues we have raised is a man called Brigadier General Michael Kojo Opoku. And it is not everybody in the NPP who may even be privy to these high-level, schemes of the party, okay, which is clearly in cahoots with these elements in the military to rig the 2024 elections. You see, that can say that as someone in your dance, you try 75 near the dance. This matter is a very simple matter. 31st January 2019 was one of Ghana's days of shame. We all agree. It was one of the bloody, days we have witnessed in the history of this country, where we saw the state, the government of the day, unleash so-called national security operatives, so-called operatives of the SWAT team at national security on innocent civilians. We later identified some of these national security operatives to be known members of the NPP's vigilante groups. Example, Double, who was one of the leaders of the team, was identified as a known NPP hoodlum. and bodyguard of Sammy, their former national organizer. And all these matters were established by the Elmi Short Commission that proved the matter. Now, what we saw at Ayawaso was an eyesore. We saw innocent civilians unarmed, unprovoked, being shot at, being beaten, some were maimed in the process and all that. And we, as a party, have sworn that we will do all it takes to prevent the reoccurrence of Ayawaso West Wogon by-election violence.
So
that is why...
That background we know. I want to get to the thrust
I'm making progress.
Opoku, who
I'm making progress
Opoku.
here. I'm making progress here. Now, it is this, at the time, Colonel Opoku, who was Director of Operations at National Security. And he himself confessed under oath to the Commission of Inquiry, which has the powers of a high court, that he was responsible for those atrocities. He himself confessed. The commission also made adverse findings.
But he was accepting responsibility as commander, right?
Yes. And what does
he was saying that I accept responsibility because I was in charge.
Yes. So if he was in charge, it means he was responsible for that. And even beyond that, the commission established at paragraph 3.4 of his report that he was the brain behind the atrocities. He had ultimate responsibility for what happened. At paragraph 3.4, this is what the Elmi Short Commission. And bear in mind that Elmi Short is not an NDC person, it's not Sammy Gyamfi. The commission was not put in place or established by the NDC, but by Akufo-Addo himself. And this is what they had to say about the man we are discussing. I quote, "The commission recommends the reprimand of Colonel Mike Opoku for being ultimately responsible for the outcome of the SWAT operation at the La Baoleshi School Police Station. His liability is further reinforced by his failure to properly define the mission for which the SWAT team was sent and ensuring that the SWAT team complied with the defined mission. Further, he failed to conduct an internal inquiry into identifying the culprits of the offense when revelations became rife that there were operational lapses resulting in violations of human rights." 3.5 goes on to say that it is further recommended that Colonel Opoku be made to immediately release the weapons used for, as well as the persons involved in, the operation to enable ballistic testing and analysis to be undertaken for further investigations by the police. So this is open and shut. The man was responsible.
It goes on in 3.6 to give ultimate responsibility. The commission recommends that Mr. Brian Echampong be reprimanded for his ultimate responsibility.
Yes, as minister. In authorizing an operation of that character on a day of an election in a built-up.
I'm only bringing that in because then they lay ultimate blame at the doorstep of now Dr. Brian Echampong.
Exactly. But 3.4 is clear that the one who was ultimately responsible as well. So multiple people were ultimately responsible. Brian was one of them because he was National Security Minister. And this Colonel Mike Opoku, now Brigadier General Mike Opoku, the Director of Operations at the time, was also found to be ultimately responsible. And in this case, they actually reinforce it with findings of fact they made. Now we are saying that, and I've checked the white paper on this commission's report. This particular recommendation, the government was silent on. They didn't indicate whether they were accepting or rejecting. And so by operation of law, it will mean that that finding and recommendation stands. And you know that the Commission of Inquiry has the powers of a high court. Their recommendations or findings have a force of law. Now, how is it possible? You tell me. Put yourself in our shoes. That this man with this record, a man against whom these adverse findings have been made, never got reprimanded, but has rather been promoted to the position of Brigadier General. And yes, it is a promotion because the rank of a colonel is lower and below the rank of a Brigadier General. And not just that, to add insult to injury, of all the soldiers in the Ghana Armed Forces, it is this man who was found worthy of the position of General Officer Commandant of the Central Command of the Ghana Armed Forces, based in Kumasi, the capital of the Ashanti region, the MPP stronghold. An appointment given to him only this year, this election year, in July of 2024. How come? You want to tell us that
those powers are open to the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces?
Of course.
AKA Mr. President.
Yeah, and we have a right to criticize the exercise of that power and discretion is given. If that power and discretion to appoint persons into various positions is not exercised in the national interest, we have a right to criticize. And we are saying that this man is not worthy of this position based on his record.
If there were issues, don't you think the CDS would have, you know,
this
raised
man,
them?
You don't know what is happening. Put your ears on the ground. This man is the shadow CDS of Akufo-Addo. This man does not even have...
There's a chief of defense staff.
I'm telling you,
the chief of defense staff is...
He will not be able to talk because of his oath of office. But this man is Akufo-Addo's hatchet man. Everybody in the military knows. He has no respect for the CDS because he himself has been promised that just like you implemented our rigging plan for Ayawaso West Wuogon by-election through violence, do same for us in 2024, and you'll be made a CS.
Sammy Gyamfi, you can't substantiate what you're saying.
I can substantiate
and you're
it.
speaking against the person of Brigadier General Michael Opoku
I can substantiate
without evidence.
I said I can substantiate it.
You can't say.
Hold on. Because when he implemented the NPP's rigging plan for Ayawaso West Wuogon by-election, he was promoted, true of us.
The fact that he was promoted does not mean these are the things we're saying.
A constitutionally mandated commission of inquiry recommended that he be reprimanded. Has he been reprimanded? He's not been reprimanded. He has rather been promoted and rewarded with another position.
That means that these things you're saying about his being a hatchet man, about his being called upon to rig the elections, you think that justifies these?
If he was not a hatchet man, when he was director of operations at National Security, what happened?
What happened?
What happened during Ayawaso West Wuogon by-election? What happened when a journalist who was critical of this government, the editor of Modern Ghana, what happened to him? Was he not the person who supervised the abduction of a journalist and the torture of a journalist? Have you soon forgotten? When he was there, what happened to your colleague Kalib Kuda? This guy, what happened? Was he not the one that National Security used to even take over a facility belonging to Iyoko? Google him.
Sammy Gyamfi.
We know he's talking
These things have happened, but these claims you are making now about rigging and about his being a hatchet man must be detached from these conversations.
My brother.
You can't just lump all of them together, which is why we here do not subscribe to what you're saying.
You don't even have to.
We are not giving credence to it.
No, you don't even have to.
You can withdraw if you want,
Benjamin.
But if you will not,
Benjamin,
then that is
Benjamin. Hold on. I take a serious exception to what you just said. We have done a press conference. You know the content.
No, but I'm saying that we here cannot individually
You were at the press conference. You covered it.
So you can.
It was broadcast live on this platform. So it is not now, and we don't need you to reinforce anything. We have put out the credible intelligence we have on this man. And we are saying that based on his record, we believe that intelligence. We are entitled to it. If you don't believe it, it is your own cup of tea. But any reasonable man listening to me, knowing the record of this guy and what he has been used for by Akufo-Addo, not only in relation to the Ayawaso West Wuogon by-election, but even against journalists critical of this government who believe what we are saying.
Sammy, I want us to make progress here, right? I mentioned 4 key things that came out of that press conference. You've established why you think that the promotion is a reward for what he did in Ayawaso West Wuogon. You've also made some claims about using his house as storage for weapons. I just want you to give us the evidence to back these claims. Like you rightly mentioned, you covered it.
You want a picture in a video?
Well, how did you come by this information? How can we, as journalists, how can we verify? They say trust but verify.
You journalists, listen,
how do we do that?
I'm even surprised that you asked me this question because you journalists, per the ethics of your profession, when you publish certain sensitive information, do you disclose your sources? Are you allowed by the ethics of your profession to disclose your sources? Answer me.
We are not asking you to disclose
answer me. We are talking to you about intelligence, and you are saying I should name my sources.
When
the IGP, listen,
name your sources.
That is why.
She didn't say name.
But if you tell me to give you evidence, what are you asking?
But how can you? How can you make such a claim without backing?
That is why.
Because of ABC.
That is why.
This is what we've come up.
A political party has every right to share intelligence it receives if it has a tendency of undermining free and fair and peaceful elections in this country. We have shared the intelligence we have received, and we are saying we believe it based on the track record of this man. And beyond that, as a responsible political party, we are petitioning the IGP, who is the chairman of the Election Security Task Force. We are petitioning the CDS to investigate these matters. And at that appropriate forum, if we are called in camera to discuss that with the powers that be, and we are convinced that they are genuinely interested in conducting credible investigations, we will share our intelligence with them. But no serious political party will come and sit in the studios of a television station and share intelligence about a commander of a whole battalion of the military. Who does that?
So you're saying, you just mentioned in camera, you're saying that if there were some commission set up, or even if this matter were to go to court, you would then be able to... No, I'm just saying. I mean, he could take you on for whatever. As far as he is concerned.
I will relish that day. Maybe you should.
And that is exactly what I'm saying. That over there, you would be willing to provide some of this evidence, right?
Oh, I've told you. We are very serious about this matter. This is not a matter that we intend to leave at the level of a press conference. Because we know of the well-crafted scheme they have put in place. And look, nobody is making up anything. Everything we have said, this gentleman is even a gentleman. This man has done before. Everything we have said. If it's about training MPP vigilantes, he's done it before. Because he was the one who trained double.
Right.
He was the one, those MPP, don't say right, those MPP vigilantes who were clothed in national security apparels and hooded to commit those atrocities we saw at Ayawaso West Wogon. Who trained them? It was this man. He was their commander. Put that aside. We've spoken about arming MPP vigilantes and clothing them in military uniforms as is planned for 2024. Has he done that before or not? He's done that before. It was under him as director of operations for national security that for the first time in history, we saw national security operatives in uniforms. Before him, had you seen some before? It was for the first time that we saw them in that khaki uniforms, in their boots, with masks, holding sophisticated weapons that, according to the Short Commission, should not have even been deployed for election purposes. It was under him. So we know him. He works with MPP vigilantes. He trains them, he clothes them in uniforms, he arms them to maim innocent people. He himself has taken responsibility for those atrocities. And adverse findings made against him by the Short Commission, for which reason he was recommended to be reprimanded. That finding has not been set aside. So anybody who defends such a man is a man bereft of conscience. His mere appointment is a scandal. It should not have even happened in the first place. In no serious jurisdiction will a man with such a credential or record be elevated to the position of Brigadier General and be made the general officer commanding of Central Command in no country.
You're a lawyer.
This guy is a danger and a threat to all of us.
You know of the principle of natural justice, which includes Saudi Alteram Partem. Listen to the other side. Brigadier General Opoku is not here to defend himself, which is why we're posing some of these questions to you, including, so if push comes to shove, you can prove, based on your intelligence, that he housed these munitions in his outfit,
based on our
or in
intelligence
his house, right?
and based on his record. That is it. His record. It is inextricably linked to this matter. His record.
Let's
talk. If I come to Joy News and I come and steal your money from here, okay, and I am caught on camera, established to have stolen that money, and tomorrow I am taken to another studio of yours where there is money and all that, it will be a legitimate call by every or any reasonable person to say that based on what this guy did here, we can put him here because this is what he did here when we had money. It's as simple as that.
It's also possible that someone else could have stolen the money that time.
But we are saying that he should not be put in that position in the first place because he has proven to be a threat to free and fair elections. Tell me, I mean, I don't even see why we must debate this. If you had a stake in this election, okay, like a political party.
I have a stake as a citizen.
A citizen, but
and a voter.
Exactly. Are you happy that a person who supervised, orchestrated, masterminded the Ayawaso West Wogon by-election mayhem has been given this critical position, which makes him an integral part of the election security architecture for Ashanti region and the other adjoining regions? Are you happy?
You know what? I do want to understand you, Sammy Gyamfi. In fact, your issues with the Electoral Commission has been Show us that you are being transparent. Show us that you don't have plans to rig elections. Show us this. Show and tell. In fact, the whole game that we all paid here is show and tell. I didn't quite get what I'm saying is, you've accused the Electoral Commission so many times of attempting to rig or having plans to rig the elections in the favor of the NPP, correct?
Yes.
And in some of these instances, you've called them out to say, prove it, that you are not in bed with the NPP.
No, we've never done that.
I'm just surprised that we're having this whole conversation. We spent more than 20 minutes on this conversation, and you haven't yet proven one thing to say that because of this is why we say that this man is going to rig elections. And besides that, you're only saying that because of his track record. If somebody chews crab and says you chew calabash, you should believe him. I just want one fact, something that you can tell us, show and tell, that maybe I went to his house and I saw that in his storage, we saw the arms that we are talking about. Just one, and then we can move on from here.
My brother.
Otherwise, we are just speculating.
My sister.
You owe that to our audience.
You are the only person who may not be aware that what we have put out is proof in and of itself.
Just a press statement?
You may be the only person who is not scandalized and appalled by the fact that a person with such a criminal record will be given such a position. But for me, from the feedback we have received, even from the military, and here let me salute all our noble men and women in uniform who are working diligently to protect us. The feedback has been overwhelming. They are excited that the cover of this miscreant has been blown. They are excited that the issues have been laid bare in the media space and in the public space. So you are entitled to your opinion, and we are also entitled to our opinion. But for us as a political party, we are scandalized that the person who was found to have implemented the rigging plan of the MPP relative to the Ayawaso West Wagon by-election, the man who commandeered and unleashed armed MPP vigilantes clothed in national security apparels on innocent civilians, maiming some in the process. Okay. We are scandalized that that man has been made a general officer commanding for Central Command of the Ghana Armed Forces. And we are also, let me conclude, and we are also very satisfied with the credible intelligence we have received relative to similar plans he's making for the 2024 elections. We believe it because his record bears that out. And that is why we have put out the information. If he doubts us, he should take us on, and we will deal with him at that forum.
Okay, we'll go to Haruna Mohammed shortly as we conclude the conversation. But just briefly on the Ashanti region. You specify the Ashanti region. It is crucial to this election. What exactly is your position on what this influence was planned to have in the Ashanti region?
Well,
and what is your next move? You say you're going to come up with more. What is your next move in dealing with this? Elections are just, about 2 weeks away. What's your next move? And then we go to Haruna Mohammed.
First of all, your first question is why Ashanti? Because the headquarters of the Central Command is Ashanti region, Kumasi to be precise. And that is where this guy resides. Look, we know people he has spoken to, people he has told. That is why I said at the appropriate forum, the basis of our intelligence will be laid bare. People he has openly told that he will kill NDC people like flies, like they did at Ayawaso West Wagon and Techima South. We know. And those people they stand ready to testify against him any day.
I was about to ask exactly.
But you see, the point is that Kumasi.
By the way, are these military officials you're speaking of?
I am not supposed to tell you that. Now the point.
Why can't you tell me that?
Because
you're not mentioning names.
Because when you're dealing with such sensitive stories, you don't tell us your sources. It is for that same reason that
you're not telling me.
That. These are very sensitive security.
You are not giving me security detail. You are not giving me titles, ranks. You are just confirming for me.
We will be petitioning the IGP. We'll be petitioning the Chief of Defense Staff. We'll be petitioning the Utumfo or Seitutu II, the overlord of the Ashanti region. We'll be petitioning our developmental partners and all stakeholders in our electoral process, including the ECOWAS, including the US government, the British High Commission, and so on, to probe this matter. They have their own intelligence gathering system. And I'm sure that with their help, we will be able to call this guy and his minions to order. But we are also putting in place the necessary precautionary measures so that we don't once again become victims to these atrocities that Brigadier General Opoku is known for. So, look, what we expect you, our friends in the media, the fourth estate of the realm, to do is to pick the short commission report and check what the report says about this man and ask the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, Akufo-Addo, why he has not reprimanded him and has rather promoted him and has rather given him this position. That should be the starting point. That's Sammy.
We're grateful for joining us this morning. Let me go to Haruna Mohammed. You've been in the wings, you've listened to quite a lot. What would be your thoughts for us, Haruna Mohammed? What are your responses?
Benjamin, I guess that should be Sammy Gyamfi.
Hello,
Benjamin.
Haruna.
Yes, I guess that should be Sammy Gyamfi, right?
Yes, that is Sammy Gyamfi.
Yes, I don't blame him. I blame sometimes some of these stories that when they go to lie, and when they go to be dishonest, when they go to do propaganda, they become topics for discussion. I heard him say that he doesn't know the person speaking, and he used the word guy. It's unfortunate.
Haruna, we pegged him down.
Benjamin, let me
down on that point on your behalf. You don't need to spend the time going back there.
But maybe because he doesn't know. If not for NDC, nobody will give a public space to Sammy Gyamfi to be discussing national issues. I started public service work as far as 2005, close to 20 years now that I have worked in the public service. I have held management positions before this particular time. So Sammy Gyamfi is very small for me to have been having a national discussion with him. And I take serious exceptions. I've trained his colleagues in the university. And he should be very mindful of his diction and choice of words. And that is what I want him to know.
All right.
I am not also surprised because he has run away from discussions with me on different platforms. And for him to have noticed that I was the one discussing the matter on this particular platform, I didn't know he was joining the line. However, what national security expertise does he have, or any security expertise does he have, to be discussing security matter concerning the nation as a whole and which resides within the realms of politics that we cannot discuss with him? Sometimes we must position some of these people to understand that when you get the opportunity to speak on a multimedia platform, such as this platform, you must be very thankful and grateful that you have been chosen as a person, not
Haruna,
because you are more intelligent than any other person.
The attack on his character to the substantive issue, please.
No,
we have limited time to go.
But I want him to understand that we have been given opportunity to
maybe you have to know, Haruna, Sammy Gyamfi has even left, so all that you're saying, he's not even hearing it. But
I don't care. They will tell him because my line also cut. I wasn't hearing, but I was told.
Okay.
I was told. Yes, my line dropped. I was told what he said. They will tell him.
All right. Can we address the substantive issue in about 2 minutes?
I'll go.
The substantive issue.
When we get this opportunity, it's not because we are more intelligent than any other citizen in this country, but it's because of the positions that we are holding. That's why you are calling us. Is that not so, Benjamin?
It is
so
indeed.
On the substantive matter, like I said, we as a political party, we are not interested in violence. We are not perpetuating any act that is going to distract elections in this country. If the NDC has a chair because somebody is appointed, and if they don't have anything untoward to do, they should not fear that somebody has been appointed into a position that the person legitimately as a citizen has the right to be appointed. What was the synopsis in Ayawasu? What started the whole thing? It is because the NDC had prepared hoodlums to go and cause trouble in that particular election. And when they went in there, the security met them with what happened. Yes, we agree. There was a commission that has sat through. The commission has not banned him that he should not be appointed into any position. And I don't think that he's promoted because he did what he did, what they perceive for him to have been done in the Ayawaso West constituency. We are here. I'm in Tamale. I'm currently in Yendi, coming from Saboba. They are in Tamale recruiting hoodlums, miscreants, to go and become agents in Ashanti region because they want to cause trouble. And this man will be able to repel
some of what Sammy did. Some of what Sammy Gyamfi said that we pegged them down on. You are doing the same. That the NDC is recruiting hoodlums to go and be their agents in the Ashanti region. Where is your proof?
Benjamin,
you see how both of you political parties
that there were Azoka boys being trained in Kumasi. Azoka is in Tamale. How do you have Azoka boys in Kumasi? How? You have heard in Obuasi where they were holding guns, wielding guns, and they make public statements as to how they are going to kill people. You heard Akugan and Co. when they made the statement that they will marry the Chief Justice. They will maim people, they will kill people. You heard their former national chairman when they said that they will be kidnapping people here and there. Have you ever heard the MPP have a group holding guns publicly in a video talking about causing mayhem in this country? Just tell me, have you ever heard, have you ever seen any video of MPP people holding guns, holding cutlasses, and then you see a video circulating of how they are going to cause mayhem in this election? We have never done so. But there are several videos of the NDC going around. But what we want to tell them is that if they are not ready to contest, they can simply withdraw just as they did in Ayawaso West Wagom elections.
All right.
Because they withdraw from the elections.
Thank you,
They are not ready for 2024. Nobody.
That is Haruna Mohammed, Deputy General Secretary of the NPP. He joined us for a conversation. He just made a point. I had to just add this. If you look at the Short Commission's report, 3.4, the Commission recommends the reprimand of Colonel Michael Opoku for being ultimately responsible for the outcome of the SWAT operation or the SWAT operation. It goes on. So sometimes when you listen to both political actors and everything they have to say, you have to sift through both what Sammy Gyamfi said and what Haruna Mohammed is also saying. But we are taking a breather here. We will return after the break with more action. Do stay. Welcome back on the AM show, and we're talking peace on the show. Shortly, I'll be speaking to you about a man who is for peace, especially as without peace, nothing can go on in our lives. But before we bring him into the picture, Ghana get ready for the biggest giveaway from Syntex Tank. Now, Syntex is visiting 15 communities and giving them water for free. This is to say, thank you, Ghana, for making us #1. Did you know Syntex was the first to introduce double-layer tanks in Ghana? Did you also know that Syntex tanks came in so many colors and was the first to come out with inner white layers? So let me tell you what, if it's not Syntex, you might as well forget about it. Now, if you're a community and you want to benefit from the Syntex free water giveaway, just log on to their social media handles at Syntex Ghana, nominate your community, and you can take it from there. The more you nominate, the better the chances that your community will be visited by Syntex. Remember, it's S-I-N-T-E-X, Syntex Tank. No be any tank be tank. The correct tank is Syntex Tank. Syntex Tank, a strong, a tough. But it's also the calling of institutions of higher education to actively participate in the policy and development conversations within Ghana and around the world. Towards this aspiration, Central University has the pleasure of inviting the general public to a public lecture to be delivered by the Chief Justice of the Republic, Her Ladyship, Justice Gertrude Tokonu. The topic, the sustainability of excellent legal education in tertiary institutions in Ghana, the way forward. The date to take note of, Friday the 29th of November 2024. The time is 3 p.m. The venue, Best Western Premier Hotel, Airport Residential Area. This public lecture is the highlight of the 10th anniversary celebration of Central University's Faculty of Law. Media partner, the multimedia group, and we're proud to partner them. Let me now come into the studio as we have that conversation with Professor Samuel Ato Duncan. He is President General Center of Awareness Global Peace Mission, and he's on a mission for peace. Prof, good morning.
Good morning.
Peace is essential to the lives of every human being, but why now and why peace? Tell us about this blueprint for sustainable global peace.
Okay, thank you very much, and let me use this opportunity to greet your numerous viewers. Peace is all we need. And for me, peace is not just absence of war, but when one is satisfied with his or her circumstances. And such satisfaction must have positive impact on himself, his neighbor, his community, and nation at large. So for me, it is not because of the elections, the impending elections, that we line the global peace, the blueprint for sustainable global peace. It has been a project that I started about 36 years ago, working towards achieving a sustainable global peace. And I saw that this is the time we have to launch it, because charity begins at home.
Okay.
And because of the impending election, what can we do also to save Mother Ghana? Should we wait after the election, then we launch something like this? No. And that is why it was launched just about 3 days ago, just for sustainable global peace.
And so you're looking at the timing as well, crucial time.
Yeah.
There's quite a bit of tension. People will say, oh, there are always tensions ahead of elections, but this seems to be a particularly feisty one. You were following the conversation with the political parties right before you came on air. It gives you some idea of how tough this is going to be. What are you going to do for peace in that regard, as far as the political parties are concerned?
For me, I think that the blueprint for sustainable global peace is has two compartments: the purpose of creation and the goal of humanity, and fundamental law of peace, that is love plus truth is equal to peace. We should know the purpose, understand the purpose of creation, that man is the most precious thing God has ever created. So we should lay emphasis on the value of man. So whatever we are doing, let's consider man as the most precious thing God has ever created. Without man, the universe wouldn't have been created for any reason. So man is the most valuable asset God has ever created. So whoever, all political parties, all politicians are people who know God and are people who serve God. Some are Christians, some are Muslim, some are Buddhists, some are pagans. Everybody knows God. Once you kneel down to pray to God, God help me. Tell yourself that any harm I do to any human being, it is God I'm doing to. But without God, without human being, nobody can offend God. And without human being, nobody can do good to God, because nobody sees God.
You know, it's interesting you mentioned this, because as we talk of peace, we must also have peace with our environment, right? Yeah, yes. Remember, God put Adam in the garden and told him to take care of everything, plants, animals, alike. And you look at the ravages we are doing to our environment as well. I guess that's something else we could look at. But ahead of the elections, what then can we expect from you, and as far as your outfit when it comes to this blueprint ahead of election 2024? What can we expect from you?
Yeah, I think strategically, that is why the blueprint has been launched.
Right.
And we invited a lot of stakeholders, including political aspirants. And we got about 7 of them.
Okay.
Yes, and we invited the military, the security agencies were invited. The military, we had about over 100 military, the fire service, the prisons, and the Ghana Police Service. So I should tell you that strategically, we are trying to psych them that they should not think of anything more than laying emphasis on the value of man. Money is not everything.
I see.
Nobody should be enticed with money to do anything against human being. Elections, we are now practicing democracy. And because of that, definitely there will be 2 or 3, 4, 5 opposing parties struggling to take a seat. They're the highest seat of the land. But we should consider, we should remember that the very seat that we want to occupy is a seat that will give us a responsibility over the very people we are going to serve.
Right.
And the very people that we are going to serve should not be the people that we are going to destroy or kill. You see, so once, and that is why we are bringing a lot of people to it. We're dealing with the students. I think we had about almost 2,000 students there.
Right.
We had a lot of people, the religious bodies and what have you. We just want to psych everybody that we should not just look at the election as one-time something.
Right.
After the election, we are going to live.
I mean, it's peace that we want
It is
before,
peace.
during, and after.
It is peace
after
that we
the
want.
election.
And for this sustainable, that is what I called sustainable global peace, a blueprint. So it is not only about these elections. It's about the peace that we have to have in our homes.
Right.
And even let's stand into the international, because there are certain things you can talk about Ghana. If the international pressures also come, it will compromise the peace that we also have.
Right.
So we are thinking of what we can do for just a positive mind. There should be a change.
Right.
That's the change of mind will be the best way to. If you love somebody, you understand that this person is the most precious thing God has ever created. And this man is in the image and likeness of God. So I shouldn't kill. You will never plan to take missiles or what have you to go and destroy in the name of just protecting a territory. And after protecting the territory, what do you gain?
Right.
After destroying men. So what we want to put into the heart of men is that we should understand the purpose of creation and the goal of humanity. That man was created to be as perfect as God is.
Great.
And man is the image and likeness of God. So that value must be there. That's the first thing. Two, we must live.
And this must be the final point we have to go.
The final point?
Yes.
Yeah. We should also love our neighbors as ourselves. Because we have the fundamental law of peace. That is, love and truth should give us peace.
Right.
Definitely, all attributes of goodness is in love and truth. And when these two come together, you have the peace. So love your neighbor and be truthful to your neighbor. If you love your neighbor, there's no way you should plan anything, any evil against him. You can contest, but there's no way you can plan any evil whatsoever against the person.
Right.
And this should be the bottom line. It is not about power. It is not about what I get. Remember that you will not go unpunished. You see, there's a constitution that is why you and I.
No, you wrap on that on that thought.
Yeah, there's a constitution that makes you and I live in harmony as religion, because whatever we do, we know that the constitution will get hold of us.
Right.
So definitely there's a fundamental law that whether you know or not, when you kick against, there will be a law, something against you. And that is what we should know. It's very important.
Let's not forget, peace is ours to foster, and all of us must be agents of peace. And that is Professor Samuel Atodankan, President, General Center of Awareness Global Peace Mission. And he's also providing that blueprint for sustainable global peace, not just Ghana, but especially for Ghana ahead of the 2024 elections. Thank you so much for joining us. Stay with us, because still to come, Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana, they are actually joining us briefly for a conversation. We'll be right back. Welcome back. It's the AM show. In the dying embers of the show, we bring you a conversation on agriculture. The Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana presents a political parties accountability forum on agriculture. And we're engaging this morning Bismarck Owusu Norte, Executive Director, Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana. Bismarck, good morning.
Hello, good morning, and thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure having you. Let's go straight to the point. What is this Political Parties Accountability Forum on Agric?
Yeah, thank you very much. You know that we are just about some 17 days to the election, and a lot of Ghanaians will have to go in queue to elect a new government. Now, before people go and elect a new government, there have to be a lot of considerations and factors that people will consider before they go and elect a particular candidate or a party. And we realized that one of the key sectors that will need much more information and much more clarity is the issue in the agricultural sector and what the political parties have for Ghanaians in general, and particularly for smallholder farmers. And if you recall, just about some few days ago, I think Graphic also did a poll which indicated that over 60% of Ghanaians were going to vote based on the manifestos of political parties. Now, if you go through all the political parties, they have brought their manifestos or their plans for the country in general, but they also have specific plans for the agricultural sector. However, it appears that there hasn't been a lot of conversation regarding the plans they have for the sector. What plans do they have for smallholder farmers? What plans do they have for the challenges that we face? When it comes to agric in Ghana, we know our problems, issues about financing, issues about high cost of input, issues about irrigation, issues about marketing, a lot of issues here. Even recently, there even issue about galamsey and its effect on farming.
Right.
So we wanted to know, what are the political parties telling us? What do they want to do when farmers give them the money to rule? So what Peasant Farmers is doing with support from Star Ghana is that we are convening political parties for a forum that will take place tomorrow at Coconut Grove Hotel in Accra. And the idea is that we want to give the platform for the parties to tell us exactly what is being captured in their manifesto. They should provide clarity on us on some of the issues that they've captured. That also give us the platform for us to ask further questions and get further clarity on them. Also, it is possible that there are a couple of thoughts or opinions by people, but it was not captured in their manifesto.
Right.
So we hope that the platform will give them a chance for them to integrate additional input. And then most importantly, for them to make specific commitments to what they want to do for farmers and for the agricultural sector in general. So basically, that's what we are doing tomorrow at the Coconut Grove Hotel.
All right. So I see you have representatives from the MPP, the NDC, the Movement for Change, and then you also have George Chumberima, an independent candidate. Are these the four that are going to be there for this discussion?
Yes. So someone might ask that there are about 13 presidential candidates. So why are we picking only 4? The choice of these 4 candidates is based on the fact that during the development of their manifestos, all of these parties engaged the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana to get our inputs. So there were actually parties that reached out to us. There were parties that recognized the role of farmers in nation building. They recognized that it was important to consider farmers' input in their manifestos. So they reached out to us. And after they had their manifestos, they also gave us copies for us to study. So we felt that it was important that in a platform like this, we also recognize that these parties who reach out to us will also be the ones that we engage. Because it appears that they seem to have plans for the smallholder farmers, and they seem to recognize the role of farmers even during their manifesto developing process.
So the point is clear, Bismarck. Thank you for joining us for this discussion. It's all about the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana organizing the Political Parties Accountability Forum on Agriculture tomorrow at 10 a.m. at the Coconut Grove Regency Hotel. Bismarck Owusu-Norte is Executive Director, Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana. Bismarck, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us. And that's how we cap off the show this morning. My name is Benjamin Akakwa. I do this always with Sweetie Abochi. Salutes to the team making this happen every day. Joy News Desk is up next. Do stay for that.